Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Salty Nerd Podcast. I am your fill-in host, Mr. Kadish. Get it right. The belabored producer of the Salty Nerd Podcast. I want to thank you all for being here today. Alex, unfortunately, is out. He had other obligations that required his attention, but don't worry about it because we have our fantastic panel of nerds here to fill in for him, starting with Matt Vader 74. How you doing, buddy?
Well, hello there, sir. I feel like I haven't been in here in a while.
It's because you haven't.
I know I haven't. Strange, weird. Feels good.
Yeah, we had a bunch of stuff happen the past couple of weeks, so we took last week off. We're doing our quote unquote triumphant return if our stream actually continues to flow, I guess you'd say it. Speaking of flow, Jude, you're here.
Wow.
Starting off strong with talking about periods. Hello.
Hello. And sitting in for Alex is a special guest to the Salty Nerd Studio, astrophysicist extraordinaire, Dr. Thomas Target. How you doing?
Absolute pleasure. Oh, hang on. I'll do my best, Alex.
There you go. Oh, it's
there we go.
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get ready, nerds, because we're about it.
Yeah. So just sit there, look at the camera, look miserable. Good Alex impression.
Everything sucks.
Yeah. Everything sucks. So guys, real quick housekeeping note. So we were getting ready to go live, and you guys know that we've been having these like stream crashes, and it appears to be something with StreamYards. I don't know what. We're still trying to figure it out. But right before we went live, the crash happened, and so we had to reboot everything, and we're not quite sure if all the settings are going as smoothly as they should.
Mm-hmm.
But if for whatever reason our audio cuts out and the stream should drop, just stay tuned. Vader will pop in on his iPad, so you get to see the big Vader face.
Yeah.
Big
And
Vader.
and we'll keep the stream going. But I appreciate you guys being patient with us because this has been going on for weeks, and we are as frustrated as you guys are about it. But before we get into everything, just want to shout out people in the chat. We got Major Chai Chai, Wendy Hunter, Danny's mom Penny, Studio Lau, Marby Dog. Guys, thank you so much for being here at the start of the stream. We always appreciate it when you guys show up. But before we get into
Nick's here too, Backyard TARDIS.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Backyard TARDIS. One of the oldies but goodies. Who's been with us since
I
the
almost
beginning.
emailed you last night because I didn't know if I had sent you the Roadhouse synopsis, and I was like, oh, I bet Nick has it if I sent it to him. Turns out I never sent it to you.
And he was there 3 years ago when
He's
I first
day
worked
one.
with you
Day one.
at the convention. He was one of the people in the chat asking great questions.
Yeah.
But we got
New member, Backyard TARDIS.
Yes.
Thanks for becoming a
Yes,
new
yeah.
member, buddy.
He's here for me. He came 3 years ago. He's here today. It's good.
I think he might have let his
Yeah,
his
that
thing
happens.
lapse, but that's okay. We love Nick.
Welcome back.
All the support. So guys, before we get into things today, I wanted to just put it out there because I'm sure the audience noticed this month in particular that the show's been in kind of a state of flux.
Yep.
And at the beginning of every year, guys, we as a group all get together and we kind of figure out, okay, what do we want to change about the show this year? How do we want to appeal to a broader audience? How do we want to get more views? How do we want to grow the channel and the listenership and stuff like that? And when we started this podcast, it was audio only, right?
Mhm.
I miss those days.
Yeah. And basically we spent a whole year just doing an audio only podcast and nobody was listening to us except maybe Nick. So, but appreciate the audience that we did get in the audio only, but then we decided, okay, we're going to go to YouTube. We're going to do video and audio. And so the next year we went to YouTube and we started up our channel. And originally it was like a 2-hour long podcast. We'd review like 3 different movies every episode and stuff like that. And then last year we were like, you know what, let's pare it back. Let's, because you were having a hard time in particular watching 3 movies a week.
Yeah, my out of studio schedule's freaking impossible sometimes.
Yeah.
So we decided to scale it back to 1 movie a week or 1 movie an episode. And we were just focused on that episode. In addition to that, we were also doing TV shows like Invasion and things of that nature. And we love doing those things.
Mhm.
Yep.
But apparently we were the only ones because our audience was very small. We were putting in a lot of time and effort, and we were getting maybe like a couple hundred views per video.
Yeah.
It was,
And the editing and post-production stuff was just grueling.
yeah, it was really tough. So we decided this year at the beginning of the year, as I'm sure a lot of you guys noticed, that we were going to kind of pivot the show to a live stream format where we would do everything live. It would cut down on the post-production editing time and stuff like that. And so like we really wanted to kind of figure out, okay, if we're doing a 2-hour live stream, what are we going to be talking about? You know? And because we tried like, a couple of years of doing like the movie review thing, we decided that, maybe people aren't interested in movie reviews. We're going to be talking about a bunch of other stuff, trending topics, like entertainment news, things like that. And I'm sure you guys noticed that in January and February, we were really kind of like diving into that type of stuff. But one of the things that Alex has always been very clear about is that he didn't want this to be a trendy political talking head thing. Like he wanted it to be the alternative to that, the escape, where when people are sick of politics and things of that nature, they come to us and they can just have fun, like hanging out with us and talking about pooping on movies and TV shows, and things of that nature. So we recently got together and we all kind of came to the conclusion that what we were doing in January and February wasn't really us. Like we didn't really enjoy doing it, particularly Alex and Jude. Like they were both like kind of like, I don't know any of this stuff. I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't want to talk about any of this stuff. And if we can't have fun doing this show, then there's really no point in doing it. And so like we kind of decided, we tried 2 months of this, live stream format that I came up with. And it's just not working for us. And so what we're going to be doing going forward into the summer is we're actually going full circle. We're going back to our old show format in a weird way, where basically this show is going to be talking about movies and TV shows. Like it's basically, we're going to watch a movie. We're going to talk about
We're going to talk about something we watch.
Yes.
What?
Yes. We're going to watch a TV show episode. We're going to talk about the TV show episode.
We went full circle like a record.
And the reason we're doing this is because that's kind of the format that we all enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Is the one that we had the most fun with.
I don't want to sit around the table and drink whiskey and talk about SJWs and transvestites. I just don't want to do that. That's what we got Saturday for, but I have to do it sober. So
You're still going to complain about Star Wars, right?
every time.
Yeah, great. Okay.
100%.
I'm in.
You bet.
I'm fine. That's what I mean.
That Acolyte trailer. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. So the Saturday show is something different. That's something that me and Vader have been doing on our own.
A couple of years now, right?
Or about 3 years.
Wow.
And that show has always meant to be about the trending topics, the stuff that's going on in the culture war. We're allowed to get a little bit more political there, even though we try not to go too deep into that. And we also have guests on there. So the Saturday show's going to pretty much stay the same as it always has. So if you like that style, we encourage you to keep tuning in. For the Salty Nerd podcast, though, we're going to make it just a little bit cleaner in the sense that we're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about TV shows. And it's so like if you guys aren't interested in the movies or haven't seen them or like whatever, we hope that you still show up just because we're the ones talking about them and you guys like us, like to hear us talking about them. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there and see what you guys think of the pivot back to kind of like just making this a straight up movie and TV show, talk show, I guess, essentially.
And we'll keep it nerdy.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about soap operas and The Bachelor and shit on here.
Yeah. It's going to be sci-fi fantasy.
I feel like that was directed at me.
No, it really wasn't. I wouldn't even think about that.
But Vader, how do you feel about this pivot?
I like it. I do. I like it a lot. I have to go get my headphones for my iPad. Damn it, man.
With the echo.
Oh.
Every time.
I think
Every time.
I know. I'll be right back.
All right. Jude, what do
Yeah.
you think of this pivot to the new format?
Well, as you know, but others may not, I had a bit of a existential crisis over the last couple of months with the new format. And I sat Matt down, my lovely husband, and I said, I don't know if I want to do the show anymore. It's not even something that I would listen to as a podcast listener. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I was like, I wouldn't even listen to the show that we're actually producing. And I don't know that I want to be a part of it anymore. And Alex, turns out, felt the same way. And the guys, every time I have an existential crisis, the guys are like, we're not doing this without you. And I love that. But Alex felt the same way, and everybody kind of rallied and said, you know what, let's take it back old school and do what, because I used to like wake up and be like, yeah, it's podcast day. I'm so excited. And for the past couple of months, I've just been like, God, I don't want to do this. It's really been a slog. I hate talking about the news. I hate talking about like what's trending and figuring out what is trending. And up until the night before being like, oh God, I need to pick a topic. I need to find a topic, and feeling like I'm not contributing because I didn't pick a topic. It was like a soul suck. So I'm really happy to actually get back into just talking about movies. I love talking about movies.
Yeah, and the thing about doing the live stream format is that, you know, our audience shows up for the live stream, whereas if and within that live stream we can talk about anything we want as long as it's entertaining for you guys. Whereas before, when we were publishing our standalone videos, it was all about like the topic that we were talking about, as opposed to, you know, just having like a stream where people can come because they enjoy watching us, you know, live stream and stuff like that. And so it actually kind of, doing the live stream format kind of frees us up to, you know, dive deeper into like movies and TV shows that we want to talk about, and then maybe like clip them out later. And so like people who are looking specifically for that type of conversation.
For example, we have the wonderful astrophysicist, Dr. Target, with us today. And I was like, what kind of fucked up science show could we talk about?
Yeah. And it's interesting because in our experiments these past couple months, the stuff that we enjoyed doing the most was like talking about Jodorowsky's Dune, which we would sit down and watch, or like, you know, the Dune mini series,
which
like,
I would never have watched that if we weren't doing this.
Yeah.
Not in a million years would I have watched Jodorowsky's Dune.
Yeah.
But
you would have watched it with love.
With love.
So
would have penetrated it, caressed it, tweaked it with love. And yes.
Hot, visceral love.
But so Dr. Target, like, you have a unique perspective because, you know, you're a fan of the podcast and you know, stuff like that. You've been watching us for quite some time. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on the shift in strategy that we're going to be pursuing.
I think the Tuesday-Sunday dichotomy gives you the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Like, Tuesday lets you keep it true to your original purpose, your heart, what brought people in, what people want to see, and just lets you have fun. And the Saturday podcast, especially because of the rotating guest lineup and because of the variety you get, that's the chance to talk about just whatever's in the news, whatever you feel like talking about in the moment, while preserving the heart of what the podcast is. So I think it's the two things work great together.
Maybe we'll come up with a third show. Just talk about, you know, what's Jude going to wear this week?
Listen, I got out of the shower and I came here. I was like, fuck, I need to find a shirt. Matt was texting me, are you coming? And I literally came with wet hair today because I was like trying to do too much at home. I was like, I got to work out and I also got to audition. And then you know what I should do? I should get the crock pot out and I should put some chicken in the crock pot for dinner for later. And then you know what? That light bulb is bothering me. I need to get a chair and stand up on the chair and then switch the light bulb. And I was doing too much and therefore I did too little.
I'm curious, Doc, and to those of you out there in the chat, this question's for you too. So when you show up and you see us talking about something that maybe you haven't seen before, like, you know, we're talking about The Core today, a little bit later.
Yeah.
And you hadn't seen that movie until we told you we're going to be talking about it.
Sorry.
Last time I was on, you guys had me on to talk about The Wandering Earth.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And this time you give me Core.
We love
I'm like, these guys
torturing
hate
you.
me.
Have you
Like,
noticed?
those-
Are you noticing a trend with
You know what? This
when
is,
you
this
like,
is the same shit our patrons do to us.
Yep.
Yeah. But so I wanted to ask you, like, if you see that we're talking about something that you haven't watched before, does that make you not want to watch us because you're either not interested or you're afraid of spoilers or something like that? Like, I'm just trying to get the sense, and chat, you can answer this too. Like, if you guys haven't seen something that we're talking about or don't care about something we're talking about, are you still interested in our opinions on it? Or is it something where you're like, oh, maybe I'll watch it later?
I don't know
or
why
maybe
anybody
not.
would be
Yeah.
interested.
Katie's just doing some market research on the live.
Yeah.
I am. I really am.
No, so the reason I think it's great is that in the old world, I used to rely on, you know, watching trailers, listening to professional reviewers of things, but then my opinions and those of a lot of mainstream media type outlets have kind of diverged in what's good and what's bad. So now, really, I have like a list of 4 or 5 podcasts whose opinions I trust. So the example we were talking about earlier was with new Star Trek. I was done. I wasn't going to watch Picard season 3.
Yep.
And the greatest thing that Terry Metalis did was give a copy to the podcast, because that was one of the only groups of people whose opinion I trusted.
Yep.
So with this group, that's what it is. There's all these things I haven't seen. I'm like, do I really want to invest in a new show? Do I want to watch something? You guys review it. If you like it, I trust you to give it a go. And that's why I like both. You know, it's fun to talk about things I have seen,
Sure.
but I love hearing about new things that maybe I want to see because you enjoyed seeing. And if you didn't enjoy them, I can just cross it off my list. It's not something I have to watch. So that's why I think it's a good thing to have those varieties.
Speaking of Star Trek, just really quickly, I want to thank Dr. Target for bringing in and gifting me this amazing blood wine goblet.
That's amazing.
Kapla. I'm going to decimate this thing next week.
And we even have some fluids to fill it with.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you bring today? I've never had Johnny.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I asked you a question, then I was about to answer it. I've never had this one.
So when I came to the studio for a tour last time, I brought like 3 scotches and did a tasting for these guys. And I thought, come back today, I've got to bring a couple of great scotches. So despite how this is spelt, it's pronounced Bonnehaven. It's from the island of Islay. It's low peat and it tastes delicious. It's the best of the sea. This scotch is at least in Europe, is almost old enough to consent, and is a delicious vatted malt, which means a mix of single malts. It's not a blend, which is grain alcohol and single malt. This is a mix of only.
Never had the green label before.
It's great.
That's
really people don't know about it. The green label is an absolute gem because most people think of Johnny Walker as blended scotch. Well, so this is not blended scotch. This is a vatted malt. So the price point is low for the age statement. This is a $70 bottle. If people knew what it was, most 15-year-olds clock in higher than that. I'm not sponsored by Green Label, but I recommend it.
It's green.
This is my Price is Right audition.
Wait.
There you go. Okay, good. Very good.
All right, guys. So speaking of showing off, we got some super chats to show off.
Nice.
So once again, gonna call out Backyard TARDIS. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Really appreciate it. And we've also got Mr. Anderson, who's been a member for 13 months. That's over a year. And he just says hello. Hello, Mr.
What's up,
Anderson.
Mr. Anderson?
How you doing?
Mr.
All right.
Anderson.
And we also have Backyard TARDIS for $10. So had to pause membership while I deal with a mistake with the IRS. I think it's settled now. Do you pay for StreamYard's premium? Yes, we do. Nick, we do indeed pay for StreamYard.
IRS.
Yeah, IRS, gross. Hate them.
Taxation is theft.
It is. Especially like all the taxes. It's like not just income tax, but sales tax.
Take your bloody T tax and get the hell out of
There's
here.
even a death tax. You have to pay taxes.
When my British wife was living in the States but hadn't yet become a citizen, like her favorite thing was to run around shouting in a British accent, "No taxation without representation," because she couldn't vote.
So Late Night with Cap podcast from JT Gunn, member for 13 months.
Yes.
Or over a year.
Hey, yeah, just really quick. I want to just say to JT, he is almost to 1,000 on his channel.
Amazing.
Go sub to JT's channel, Late Night with Cap. Yeah. He's almost there.
He says, "Hey, Salty Nerds." Sounds great. So it sounds like he's in favor of the format change.
Good.
Then we have one of our superstars, Astro Nerd Boy, member for 12 months. I got no problem with the shift. Need some Vader rants about pioneers in space or Madge.
I'm sure they'll come along.
Madge.
It's like Madge. Get the cold cut combo over there.
Are you going to be the one eating all this?
You better put some extra peppers on that thing, Madge. Yeah, for sure. And I'm not paying for your fucking cups.
We will always have more Matt Vader and rants. And,
I won't even go over there anymore. Matt goes like, "You guys want the sandwiches?" And he goes, "I go, yeah, I'd love a cold cut combo with all the stuff, but you're gonna go get it. I'm not watching."
Yeah. And then she fat shames me.
Yeah,
because she thinks I'm the one eating.
The one time I went over there with you and Alex,
both of these.
The one time I went over there with Alex and Matt a few weeks ago, it's like she fat shamed you and she bird dogged me the entire time. I'm like, I'm not going back over there. Forget it.
I love Madge. She means well. All right. So William Forbus for $10. He is our top contributor on Tuesday.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Whatever y'all decide to do, I support you. I'm here for y'all and your opinions, specifically for Vader's crazy, slightly offensive stuff. Movie reviews is how I found the channel.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So
good to know.
William Forbus, appreciate all the support you've been throwing our way, both on Saturday and on Tuesday.
Can't wait to see you in the real world here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. He's going to be coming out for the meetup out.
Oh,
yeah.
So it'll be fun.
It's always weird when you meet somebody in the real world.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh, we'll have to take him out to dinner.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Backyard TARDIS for another $5. I support this change back to the original format.
I am shocked. I am shocked beyond belief that Nick would want us to go back to our old format. 100%. Thank you, Nick.
Yes. Remember that time he sent us all those salt shakers?
Yeah. Still got some, I think.
That was him.
Yeah.
I still use one every day.
Yep. All right. And we got Mexican Iron Man member for 13 months.
Nice.
3-body problem better not suck. Geez, first you opened my eyes on John Wick 4. Now this.
No.
Yay, movie and TV talk show. Yes, we opened a lot of people's eyes on John Wick 4.
I mean, 3-body problem might not suck, but you guys all know how Matt likes to make his thumbnails.
Yeah.
We're very clickbaity over here.
well,
So
considering the book suck,
Man, we tried.
we're gonna get into it.
We tried with the book.
We're gonna get into it in a bit.
I don't read.
Yeah.
So
Backyard Targets for $2. Only worried about spoilers on new stuff. Yes. When we talk about new stuff, we'll save spoilers for like a member stream or something like that. Wendy Hunter for $4.99. I barely ever watch most of the movies you review, but your movie reviews are one of my favorite part of the show.
Oh,
Or I should
glad.
say, your movie reviewers are one of my favorite parts of the show.
thank you, Wendy. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yes, we appreciate you, Wendy. Especially like she's a regular. She shows
She
up.
does. She even
She
shows.
comes
She
to
even
everything.
she even comes to my my game streams on my other channel.
Yeah.
Just like boom, she's there before I even start it. It's crazy.
And guys, William Forbus gifted 10
Wow,
Salty Nerd podcast memberships.
Yay!
that's awesome.
Very generous of you, Mr. Forbus. Really appreciate it. And finally, the Astro Nerd Boy for $20. If it is something I have zero interest in, I don't tend to watch, no matter the content creator. Disparu may get a pass because his format is to shred trash in a funny way, but I still watch a lot on the replay.
Well, yeah. Wait till we get into it, man. It's like, I mean, how do I say this? When Alex is here, I vibe a little different than when he's not here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to jumping into this new format, back to our old format, with a little bit of help from the Johnny Walker over there.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some good times with what we got planned coming up. So it's gonna be fun.
Indeed. And, shout out to Disparu. Like, I love
Yes,
this stuff.
good-
Stuff's very funny.
Good channel.
And we got a $5 super chat from William Forbus. Vader made a Dungeons and
He said,
Dragons.
Vader, I made.
Oh, Vader, I made a Dungeons and Dragon baddie mistress. I'm sorry.
You want me
Starting
to do
over.
it? You want me to do it?
Go for it.
Okay. Vader, I made a D&D baddie called Mistress Madge. She's a bard whose voice causes pain. They hate her so much.
that's great.
LOL. I love that. That's why I was laughing while Matt was talking, because I saw that come up and it cracked me up.
Nice.
Mistress Madge over here. You're going to drink all that meat over there, you fat fuck.
Are you going to eat this whole sandwich?
Do you
Are
really?
you going to waste it?
Do you really need that extra large size?
You better
Get
eat the
medium.
whole thing. I can't believe you fucking ate that whole thing.
Have you killed that dragon yet over there? Thing's been causing problems in my garden all day.
The fairy dragon.
Fairy
Yeah.
dragon. Yeah.
You spend too much time in the bathroom.
Are you going to buy something?
I love
Either
this.
buy or
I
leave.
love
No, I'm gonna
Mistress
sit here
Madge.
and look. You and it's like what's the other guy that works over there? Madge and
Oh, we call him Sloth.
Sloth, because he's the slowest sandwich maker in the world.
Oh, this is the subway that,
Yeah, right over
that
here.
went for you on cups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they got Madge over there, body shaming people, and you got Sloth back there going, "Hey, you guys, had to make sandwiches." Duh. Yeah,
He's a very deliberate sandwich maker. Like
Yeah.
he'll place the cheese very, very
Yes, that's
accurately and stuff like that.
Come on, man, make the sandwich. Let's go. Got things to do. Yeah, for sure.
I love both of them. We're friends.
I'm sure you do.
We're friends. All right, guys. So I was going to get started before Jude decided to peace out for a bit. But one of the things that we were going to talk about today is that Jude and I watched Madam Web.
Oh Lord.
Have you seen Madam Web, Doc?
I have not. I ended my superhero relationship at Endgame, and I do not regret that decision.
Well, technically, this isn't really the MCU.
No, it's about superheroes in general. I was like, I'm done. This is great. I've reached the peak. There's
Yeah.
nowhere else to go. People say, oh, but you've got to see this movie's good, and this movie's good. And it's like, I'm not going to watch 10 bad movies
Yeah.
to get one good one in the modern era. Like, I have this perfect garden in my head of the MCU and of superheroes, and I am happy to keep that garden pristine while the rest of the world burns.
Yeah. Well, I think it's Web in time because I want to talk about this. When it came out in theaters, I was like, I'm not really interested in seeing this movie. But then people started talking about how insanely bad it was. And it piqued my interest a little bit. I was like, you know what? I want to check it out just to see how bad this movie really is. And but I still didn't see it in the theaters. And wouldn't you know it, 3 weeks after it premiered in theaters, it was on digital. You could buy it. Can you?
It's
believe-
already out on digital?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I kept threatening Jude. I was like, come on, let's watch this movie. And she's like, we're not spending $20 to rent that movie. And I was like, but you know, it might be worth the $20.
But it has Sydney in it, right?
Oh yeah, it's got Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
It's got a bunch of attractive women in it that aren't allowed to be attractive,
Yeah.
essentially.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds like Hollywood.
Yeah, but Jude, we are Webbin time. We're talking
Oh,
about
awesome.
Madam Web.
Yeah.
So
It was hilarious.
So when we were watching it, Jude said, "You didn't tell me this was a comedy."
I did
Oh my
not
God.
say that.
Yeah, but essentially, like we treated it as we were watching like some type of comedy. So Jude, what's your take on Madam Web? I just want to cover this real
Oh
quick.
man, it was so funny. Honestly, I thought it was really enjoyable because I love shitty, ridiculous, like B-level movies, and this was like a B-level movie with a big ass budget. It was so much fun.
Yeah, like it was funny
It
watching.
didn't make no sense.
It didn't make any sense, but
Yeah.
it was funny watching it with you because you would start calling out things where it's like, I bet they're going to do this
Oh
ridiculous
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And then like 5 minutes later, because like I knew it was coming,
I watched a lot of shitty movies.
but like you kept calling, I was like, oh, I bet like, you know, she's going to go full Agent Smith and like 3 of her are going
I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. That was my favorite part. And spoilers. If you don't want a spoiler, you should just mute it right now.
Spoil away.
Because I kept saying her power was to use the web and to help many people at one time. And I was like, she's gonna Agent Smith herself. I can't wait for her to Agent Smith herself. And Kadish was like, what does that mean? And I was like, in Matrix when there's like a bunch of Agent Smith. And he was like, oh, okay. And then 2 seconds later, I was like, yes,
because it actually happened. But before that, like you kept, basically calling out like exactly what was going to happen.
well, it's
in the
so
movie.
predictable.
Yeah. But what was funny is like you were trying to like be funny by calling out ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
And then it would actually happen.
I 100% knew all of that shit was about to happen though. Like you could tell.
Yeah. And
This movie took itself so fucking seriously while at the same time being ridiculous and not making any sense. Perfect movie.
Yeah, and it was funny because like I had heard so much about the movie, so like I knew a lot of the plot points.
Kill Invader.
I can't.
I killed him.
It's the perfect movie.
It is. It's
It's
hilarious.
like, yeah, you should watch it back to back with like the Magical Negro movie, and
Jesus.
yeah, so you could watch the perfect double feature of your life.
It's the,
So,
okay,
yeah.
That's
I
Barbenheimer
will,
of this year.
I will rephrase. It is the perfect comedy.
Oh my god,
Well,
it's not even supposed to be a comedy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Was The Room?
Yeah, I don't know.
well, it was funny because Jude kept saying like when did they get their powers?
Yeah.
Like when did they get their costumes? When they start fighting the supervillain?
Don't worry about it.
I think most of the movie going audience thought that exact same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, when do the Spider Girls get their powers? And it's just like,
It's so funny because the entire premise of the movie is based on this vision that the bad guy has had every night when he goes to sleep for I don't know, like 20 years, whatever. 20, 25 years. He has this bad dream every single night of these 3 girls who have superpowers, like super spider powers, that are going to come and destroy him. So he has to find them and he has to destroy them first. And then the end of the movie, Dakota Johnson goes, "They weren't your future. I was." And the girls never got their powers. It was so funny.
it was funny. And then it was also funny that the main bad guy, his only weakness was Pepsi.
Pepsi,
Yeah.
for
Oh,
real?
yeah.
You're not being for real.
No, it's a stupid joke.
Oh, okay.
Well, he dies, spoiler, by having the Pepsi sign in New York fall on him.
Oh my god, that's funny.
I feel like I've seen a bunch of movies where that happens.
Isn't this movie brought to you by Pepsi?
Yeah.
Crash. That's funny.
Also,
Nice.
Dakota Johnson's character throughout the whole movie is like kind of a bitch.
Oh, she's an asshole.
Yeah, like she's a huge asshole.
Yeah.
And she's been going around trashing this movie too, right?
Yeah.
yeah, she
Yeah.
has, deservedly so.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like she,
I heard like Sony was just furious with her.
well, she was legit tricked into thinking this was an actual Marvel movie as
Oh.
opposed to like a Sony Marvel movie. So she was like, "Oh, I'm going to be part of the DC or the MCU," and it's just like, "Nope, you're
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah.
ghetto Sony universe."
Also, all of your dialogue is not going to make any sense.
Yeah, her dialogue was terrible.
So she's all like, "Oh, I'm in with the Morbius,"
yeah,
Yeah.
Damn it. which I
And
actually
that one
like Morbius.
shitty Joker.
and
You're in
Venom.
that. You're in that
Morbius and
category.
Venom.
That
Yeah.
level of movie. honestly, I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Morbius.
But
Yeah.
that criticism is getting her some respect because so
Yeah.
often they have to toe the party line. And here we have someone saying,
Yeah,
hey,
everyone
this is
knows
not
you're full
what it
of
should be.
shit.
And we're like, yes,
Yeah.
thank you for saying
Yeah.
exactly what we all know.
Give
And
us more.
honestly-
Give us more actors that don't toe the company line.
Yeah.
We might support you a little bit more in the
And-
future.
And honestly, like I haven't heard her like go out on a podcast and be like, don't watch this movie.
No.
It fucking sucks. What she has said is when you have a bunch of decisions for a piece of art being made by a committee, it doesn't really translate. So much of this has been made by the studio or the committee who makes decisions, and the finished project is not art anymore. It is a project.
You know what's funny about Madam Web though is that it opened up an entire audience of nerd guys to Sydney Sweeney. Like
Yeah.
she has benefited more from that movie than anyone else involved in it. And it's because she's been handling it in the right way,
Mhm.
where she's just like, hey, look at me. I'm cool.
I'm hot.
I'm hot.
I got big jugs.
Yeah, exactly. and it's like, and I don't mind if you stare. And so like,
She doesn't mind. She puts them on display.
and she even came out and said like, look, I knew this movie was going to be bad, but I didn't care because I was going to use it as a launching
Yeah.
point to do Barbarella,
That'd be fantastic.
you know?
Yeah.
And so basically like every comic book nerd guy out there who's been watching comic book movies, stuff like that, she's on their radar now. And now she has a fan
Yeah.
base that like can carry her over like,
And she's not making it political.
yeah.
It's just, hey, I'm hot.
Yeah.
I'm a hot blonde chick with big boobs, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
you
like,
said
okay.
it only took 3 weeks for the movie to go from cinemas to streaming.
Yeah.
And yet people are still talking about Sydney because of this, and they're not talking about this movie.
Well, she's definitely
So
using
she's-
it as
she's
to
done-
break
she's
out.
done well by being honest. That's all.
She was on
That's
SNL,
all it took.
and yeah, it's good for her. Good
Yeah.
for her.
So Madam Web worked out for someone, not for
Yeah.
us though.
It worked out great for me. I thought it was a hoot.
Yeah. By the time we got to the end of the movie, Jude was like, that was so much fun.
5 stars.
I was like, that was hilarious. That movie was hilarious. And obviously, I'm being sarcastic in that it's a great movie. It's not. And that's what makes it enjoyable.
I'll watch it when it's not $20.
That's what I said. He every day he'd be like, ooh. And I was like, we're not paying $25 for this movie. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
Well, we paid $25 to own it. So
We could watch it over
You-
and over.
Wait,
again.
what? You own it?
I
Yeah.
own it now.
Oh,
Yeah.
bro.
But
Exactly.
you guys, I had to pay $4.26 to rent the core. You did that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, we already own that movie.
Oh, okay.
I know. I owe you $5. This was all because I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we had Dr. Target to talk about the core? And Matt was like, that would be funny.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I owe you $5.
That's all good. It's all
We tortured him with that rocket powered Earth one last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who could forget such classic characters?
I was here when you did that.
No, Nobody-
I did it on the
nobody
screen. I
won.
was your
That's
first
right.
screen
That's
guest.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, I think back on that film, and like, who can forget such classic characters as like Helmet Vomiter and half Australian sex offender?
Yeah.
Like these are the
Yeah.
That's what's
Nobody won that day.
Yeah,
All right, guys, we got some more super chats to get to. E. Clay Tomlinson, member for 10 months. Do you think Madge still soaks her hands in palm olive after a long day of making Subway sandwiches? Oh, she definitely does.
Yeah. And then she goes home and she has a bath and she says, Calgon, take me away.
Yeah.
Yeah. While she has a cigarette.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys. So let's see here. We got a lot to talk about today, and we might as well just talk about what's going on with the core.
I thought you wanted to talk about the 3-body problem.
We're gonna get there.
Oh, okay.
Don't tell me how to run.
He
the show.
has a method.
Thought we were
He's
starting
method.
with that.
So basically, this is a movie I saw in theaters back in 2003 when it came out.
Mhm.
And I had worked at Paramount at the time, and they used like the Paramount lot to
Was it-
shoot some of this stuff.
Was it 2003 or 2013?
Three.
2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Early millennial. It's still kind of technically a 90s movie.
Yeah.
But this is a movie that I've owned for a long time. Jude and I watch it at random occasionally.
Yeah.
if we wanna
Usually
watch
when
bad
we're
movies.
having like if we're both really sad, we'll be like, let's put on the core.
Wait, you watched this movie on purpose?
Yeah.
I watched it on purpose once, a long time ago when it first came out, because I kind of like weird disaster movies. but
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all that era. It's all like the Deep
Yeah.
Impact,
Yeah.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
era.
Sometimes you just want a good disaster movie.
But so since we have Dr. Thomas Target with us today, I wanted to ask you, Doc, So in this movie, the military in a secret base in Alaska builds a super weapon called Destiny, which basically shoots something into the ground and causes localized earthquakes to happen in enemy territory. And the reason that they built this is because they were worried that our adversaries, America's adversaries, were going to build this thing first.
Yes.
They did, but he built it better.
Well, there's that.
Should we do the synopsis first
Maybe.
before we get into it?
Well, but we will get to that, but I'm setting something up here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the idea here is that there was an arms race for manufactured earthquakes. And America decided to not only build this thing, but also start using it.
America.
So
yeah.
I wanted to ask Dr. Target, is the science behind this sound? Because basically...
Look at his face! He can't even! He can't even!
No. All right, we're done. No.
Well, hold on. Because basically the way that they've been using this weapon to create earthquakes in enemy territory has been destabilizing the core of the earth and making it slow down so that the electromagnetic field starts disintegrating. But I'm just wondering, like, how in the world can anyone shoot something into the ground to cause an earthquake? Like, if you're in Alaska and you want to cause an earthquake in Beijing, like, how does shooting something into the ground in Alaska make an earthquake in Beijing? Like,
Yes, please explain it, Doctor.
No, I'm not going to defend this film. So there's the science it's kind of based on a little bit is that how do we know what the inside of the Earth is like? Right? As they say in the movie, we've not been more than 7 kilometers down. How do we know? And the answer is we actually fire sound waves or long wavelength sound into the ground, and like a radar system, measure the reflection against the different densities and layers of the core. So there is a science behind how we figure out what the inside of the Earth is like. Could you use that to create an earthquake? No. If you were going to do it, you would actually use some of the things they talked about in the movie, such as, we're going to create this sort of wave system whereby one thing builds on another. So maybe if I send certain waves around the Earth this way and certain waves around the other Earth this way and make them meet and add under Beijing, maybe that kind of works. But really, this is no, is the answer. I'm going to stick with my original no. Can you use waves to learn about the Earth? Yes. Can you make the core? No.
Well, I watch a lot of sciencey shows where they're like digging stuff up under the ground, and they always use ground penetrating radar.
Yep.
And they'll show what comes back on the computer screens, and it just looks like a bunch of gobbledygook to me. It's like, it's right there. There's something right there in the dirt. You see how the things look different? It's like I look at it and I go, I can't read that. I don't know what that doesn't look like anything to me.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Like science is. Remember that scene in The Matrix when he's like, I don't see the code anymore. I just
Right.
see blonde brunette redhead. I work with these images from these space telescopes, and they don't look, when they come from the telescope, they don't look anything like those beautiful images that they show you on the news. They look like a fuzzy mess because you're working at the limit of our technology. And I've been doing this for like 20 years. And so sure enough, I can look over this fuzzy mess. I can say, that's a spiral galaxy that's about 5 kiloparsecs in size. That's enough. You get specialized, like you get good at that. So
I need them to make these things easier to look at.
Yeah.
Like the LiDAR stuff.
Yeah.
When they're like taking the jungle canopy away from like Guatemala.
Yeah, that's great.
It's like, there's a pyramid, there's a city, there's a well, it's like, that's what I like.
Yep.
I
like the dinosaur at the beginning of the Jurassic Park movie when they're like, that looks like you expected.
So using earthquakes as a military super weapon, not
but we have
feasible.
1,000 ways to kill each other. That's a lot of effort for something that probably doesn't work. We have nukes, right? If I want to kill someone, that's how I'm going to do it.
Well, we need to kill people without the radiation.
Then you want a neutron bomb. We can do that too.
Yeah.
We
can go back.
We
So they can
also
move
don't
in.
want anyone to know that.
We don't want to waste people and then move in and take over their.
But that was the
city.
paradox. They're like, if the enemy has this weapon, they can attack us, and we don't know who attacked us.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they can still do that.
Yeah.
Like, who do you fire your earthquake retaliation gun at? Like, you still don't know who attacked you.
Anyone who's not us is the enemy.
Yeah. So we can just nuke them, right? If you don't care,
I think the secret is weather control. That's the one.
Yeah.
Right?
The whole thing is a conspiracy
DARPA.
to cover
It's in
up.
Alaska, right? Isn't that what the conspiracy is there?
All right. Well, Jude, why don't you give us the synopsis and then we'll start talking about this fantastically scientifically accurate movie.
Of course, absolutely. 2003, The Core, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's too long. Had a budget of $60 million, 60. What do you think this brought into the box office, Vader?
Oh,
You shouldn't.
I wasn't looking. we like our dumb movies.
We do.
So I'm gonna say I'm just gonna guess,
Uh-huh.
but I'm gonna say it made $20 million. So 80 million. Is he just
Okay.
60 million?
Okay.
I'll say 80 million.
Okay.
It came in.
Dr. Target.
Yeah, I think that the whole disaster movie trope was winding down
Yeah.
after that peak it had. So I'm going to go like 95, something like that.
Okay.
It probably made 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Had a budget of $60 million and a box office bring home of $73 million.
Oh.
You're not far
Got it.
off, V.
I went over.
All right.
I didn't get the
I was
prize.
going to go like your number.
You
plus
didn't win the
one.
speedboat.
That's a big
No
move.
speedboat for you. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. When the Earth's core stops spinning, the Pentagon recruits a group of scientists to ride a giant drill down to the center of the planet to nuke the core to get it to start spinning again. The electromagnetic field surrounding the Earth has begun to break down, and if they don't get that core spinning again, the Earth and everything on it will fry in a year. Dr. Harvey Dent, the $1 Million Baby, Commander Pike, and the Tooch all dream team it aboard an ill-tempered laser that the detective from Gone in 60 Seconds built in 3 months. And then shit gets crazy. In the words of the lead scientist for this Earth-saving mission, all sciences is just your best guess. Discuss.
So before we get into the science-y stuff, Vader, what did you think of this movie?
Usually these kind of movies are right in my wheelhouse, but I had a hard time getting into this.
Huh.
I don't think I liked it the first time I watched it,
Yeah.
20 years ago.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I didn't really like it this time either. I just maybe I was in the wrong headspace or something. I don't know, but it just
You don't appreciate disasters like you used to.
I mean, it's no 2012. I'll say that.
Mhm.
That movie.
It's no Armageddon.
So I mean,
Or Deep Impact.
give me a movie that literally shows California sinking into the sun, into the
Ugh,
ocean.
Gets me.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Let's go. LA.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, cool. That's really great.
Yeah.
But
A meteorite hitting
yeah,
Las Vegas.
yeah,
Fuck
that would be
yeah.
awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Godzilla destroying the
Yep.
strip. I'm
Yeah.
into it. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. No, this movie sucked, dude. It was a terrible movie.
It does.
Fun cast.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. It had a fun cast.
hmm
I like all those actors, but the whole premise was just silly, and the way this thing like laser beam through the rock and everything. I'm just like, oh God, this is the worst. We can't even barely get to the bottom of the ocean without just destroying our submarines. So we're certainly not going to be able to go to the center of the planet.
Yeah, the implosion on the Titanic sub
Yeah.
was 1.5 kilometers of just water.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But what they didn't have was unobtainium.
Right.
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium,
Yeah.
the same shit
Yep.
that they wanted in Avatar.
6 years later.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, no,
feel like
I didn't like this movie. It was stupid.
I feel like that's just like a placeholder word that when you're writing a script, it's just like, oh, what's it made out of? What's it called? It's got to be something new. I don't know. Just put unobtainium because it's really hard to get, and then we'll figure
Yeah.
something out
Yeah.
later. And
Get
then
a
they
better name.
never did.
Can-
And then they filmed the movie, and everyone on the cast and crew had to have been like, "Are we really gonna call it
Unobtainium? What? Really?
I
That's
guess
it?
fucking go with
Oh,
it.
yeah,
I guess.
So Jude, what did you think of this movie?
I both love and hate this movie. I remember watching this for the first time with my cousin. We were having a movie night. The same cousin that used to watch the USA Up All Night movies with me. She had just had a baby, and I was like, "I'll bring a movie over." It was when you could rent movies, and we watched this, and we were all like, "Huh, that sucked, right?" And it was just very underwhelming. We didn't hate it, but we also weren't like, "Yeah," when anything good happened. So it was just very underwhelming. I think I appreciate it more now because I understand like the I guess charm of a shitty movie now.
Yeah.
Sorry, V, what were you gonna say?
No, I say the chat's kind of like taking on this a little bit, but I was kind of wondering why when they got back up to the surface at the end that a couple of years hadn't gone by
Right.
in time.
Yeah.
Because of the spatial time anomaly from the center of the
Don't
Earth.
worry about it.
From like the Godzilla thing, right? So
Yeah, so I wouldn't use Godzilla science to justify it.
we're gonna talk about Godzilla science next time you're here.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
What was interesting is that so this film, in addition to the main story of drilling to the center of the Earth, they try to keep it interesting by peppering in all these like disaster moments where it's like, at one point all these people who have pacemakers die,
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden in France, the birds go crazy.
Yeah.
No, it was
Yeah.
London. It was
Yeah, it was
London.
London.
Was that
Yeah,
London?
that was Trafalgar Square.
Okay. So in London, the birds go crazy, and it's kind of funny because at the end, after they like heal the earth, there are all these people in France just like having coffee and stuff like that, and they turn around and like the sky above the Eiffel
Closes
Tower
up, yeah.
like fixes itself, and they just go back to their coffee
Yeah.
like nothing happened.
Just
Uh,
bread and water.
Yeah, but they hired DJ Qualls with an unlimited amount of hot pockets to hack the planet
Yeah.
and keep people from knowing like about all the danger that they were in.
Mhm.
But
He's the true hero.
yes, he is.
He is the true hero
He
of
is.
the movie.
You figured out the whale thing.
Yeah.
stuff
And then, like,
that.
while they're in the middle of the earth, they're like, it's giant sapphires. Too bad we can't take any home. It's giant diamonds. Too bad we can't take any home.
I bet there's probably giant diamonds down there, right?
It's all lava. It's all
It's all lava?
Just lava. Like
Okay.
that's.
Well,
you
I
see the peach analogy. The peach analogy was good.
All right.
It's just lava.
I wanted to ask you, Dr. Target. So, first of all, what do we know about what's at the center of the Earth? Like what's below like the crust of the Earth that science has proven or has theorized might be there?
This is great. So this is where using these waves that I talked about to penetrate down and measure the reflection, we can get a pretty good model of what the Earth is. And science isn't our best guess. Science is a model. And
Mhm.
every model is going to be imperfect, but if it's based on data and it's based on evidence, your model might change, but it's still got to account for the same data. Now, as they say, there are these layers that people know, like people know the word the core. They might know the mantle and they might know the crust. There are sub-layers within these broad terms, as they say. It's usually about changes in temperature and density. So it's like, oh, because it's a bit hotter and a bit denser, the magma behaves a bit more like this. And a bit higher up, it's a bit less of a temperature and density. So the same rock behaves a little differently. So we're going to call them two different layers. But fundamentally, they're right in that it's crust, magma, metal, like that.
So the core really is a big chunk of
of
iron
metal.
in there.
And it's
Okay.
kept warm by. So the reason why our core is warm, it's kept warm by radioactive decay. So I really wish that this wasn't the core slowing down, because that's ludicrous. Like
Mhm.
it's attached to the rest of the planet. You can't separate it out. You know, it would tear everything apart if you did that. But they could have had the core as cooling and solidifying, and then you could just inject more radioactive material into it rather than trying to nuke it. Yeah, but it's an
He
American.
fixed it. He fixed it.
Yeah, it's an American movie, so nuking it, like it's going to be the solution. But
Yeah.
Nukes
Yeah,
fixes everything.
boom. But I wanted to touch on Matt's point about like looking at London and Paris and things like this, because I was watching that movie and it was from that era of like Independence Day, of these iconic
Yeah.
structures, and I'm like, why are all the holes in the atmosphere and all of these crazy things happening over famous landmarks? Like most of the Earth is empty. Wouldn't it be great if there was a hole in the atmosphere and just like one tree in a field
Middle of
dies?
Siberia.
That's it.
somewhere.
That's what most, because we get hit by asteroids. They just typically land in random places. They don't target
Tunguska.
Colosseum.
Well,
Like they have the sort of
yeah.
monument targeting.
There was a huge scene where basically San Francisco got microwaved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably just going to hit the ocean, right? And some fish die.
The chat does have a question.
Oh, yeah.
and I think the answer is yes, but I'll ask you: does the activity of the core produce the EM shield around the Earth?
Yes, it
Right.
does. It does, and that's really important. So that's one thing I loved. I loved the first 20 minutes of this movie. For the sort of late 90s tropes, the quipping, the sort of the crazy character dynamics, the famous scenes, and a lot of their little descriptions at the beginning were pretty good. Like
Pretty good,
everything
yeah.
up until they say the core is spinning is actually really fun. So I loved that. I was in. I was engaged. And yeah, that magnetic field is really important, because Mars, for example, we have evidence on the surface of Mars that Mars used to be much warmer, probably had a thicker atmosphere, and was probably a much nicer place to live.
Wait, are you telling me Mars's core stopped spinning?
Yeah, well, Mars is much smaller than
Oh
us.
my God.
So its core, it didn't stop spinning, but it got cold, solidified. So it wasn't generating a magnetic field. And the magnetic field doesn't protect us from like deadly microwave beams, like they say. But without the magnetic field, the solar wind would slowly strip away our atmosphere, and we would become a barren planet like Mars. So if you want to, remember Elon Musk said, like, we need to nuke the core of Mars. He was almost referencing this. If you want to try and make Mars a better place, you would want to drill down and reliquefy the core.
Weren't
That's genuinely true.
the solar winds stripping away the atmosphere? Wasn't that the premise of the Wandering Earth movie?
Yep. It's all coming together. I can see now. This wasn't random shitty movies you made me watch. This was a coordinated plan.
Oh
to
yeah,
justify
yeah.
this
We
stuff.
planned that.
That has a sequel.
No.
I think so.
Yes,
I think
it does have a sequel.
Is it out, or is it just a book? Or is it...
I think it's out.
Well, I guess we just decided what we're talking about next time you're in town.
Yep.
But so I wanted to ask you. So one of the big things that the movie had to kind of like get around, I guess you could say, is how do we get people from the crust to the core of the earth? And they came up with two things. First of all, this magic bullshit device laser that can just like melt stuff in front of it. It's a laser, ill-tempered laser. But the other thing was, as Jude pointed out, unobtainium, which is basically the more heat and pressure that's applied to it, the stronger it gets. And it's not only able to get stronger and withstand the pressure of going to the center of the earth, but also it converts it into energy so that it's a self-contained, self-powering, like little kind of like metal thingy,
magical bullshit
magical
device.
bullshit device.
Mhm.
So, but Doc, is there any scientific accuracy to any of this stuff that they were utilizing for this MacGuffin?
Nope. All right, one of the trends in the universe is called entropy, and that everything tends towards a low energy chaotic state. And most of the energy in the universe tends towards heat, like background light. If you had a device that could turn heat back into useful mechanical power, you've basically solved all of humanity's problems and the universe's problems. That's why it's such a funny thing. That's just a throwaway thing that they're using because of it. And yeah, we can't go. I did like that they were, we're going to drop this thing in the ocean because the Marianas Trench is the lowest point. So it minimizes the amount of crust you have to drill through. It's pretty irrelevant though compared to the total depth of the planet, like dropping it.
Yeah, that thing cut through dirt.
Pointless,
like, why would you even need to bother?
You have to set up the whales. They were foreshadowing the whales.
They could have launched from this place out here in the desert where they built it.
And they didn't even find the Meg.
Yeah.
No
They've got 1,000 kilometers of magma, and they're trying to save themselves a few kilometers by going in the ocean.
I feel like this movie ripped so much from Austin Powers with the liquid hot magma
Laser.
and the lasers.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely disproved the whole Kong Hollow Earth thing.
Yeah,
Nothing down there.
I really like that theory.
Are you trying to tell us, Dr. Target, here live today on the show, that King Kong doesn't live in the core?
It does not, and he does not suffer from time dilation.
Oh,
I guarantee
man.
that. When you did that, I remember watching that review, and I was in front of my
say it
seat
here first.
screaming, like, "Oh my god, don't believe!"
I think Dr. Target might be a fraud. That's all I'm going to
that's
say.
true. So look, here's your
It's
choices.
real.
Either
It is real. I believe it.
so there's something in science called Occam's razor, and it says the simplest of two explanations is probably right. So either A, I'm a fraud, or B, the core is a bad movie.
Yeah.
You can let's let the audience choose
I think
which of those two things.
you should probably go.
I just,
It's clearly me. I'm out.
I just want to live in a world where the Hollow Earth theory is real.
Yeah.
I do. I've always thought it was fascinating, or at least there's some like unknown civilization underneath the South Pole. That's what I want to believe that one.
There are things, but talking about the unobtainium, Matt, like this is the important part. In that, let's just say we accept unobtainium. So the premise of the movie is sound. I can suspend disbelief to make that happen. But what I can't do is the second they step outside of that ship for any point at any reason,
Right.
meaningless. So they have that vacuole that's got this like a void, right, with the crystals in it.
Yeah.
And they're saying, oh, maybe it's got this like metal, like it's like cadmium or something layer around it. So I paused the film and I looked up the melting point of cadmium. And I'm like, they're right. You could have a bubble of cadmium. But then I was like, well, it would still be at thermal equilibrium with the lava. It wouldn't be cooler inside the bubble than outside. That you would still just melt, like you would die instantly. And the pressure.
Yeah.
So, I guess our suits can handle the pressure. And it's like, well, they're not made of unobtainium. Like this
Right.
is not happening. And then when the lava starts to drip in the top, that's like a water thing, right? You had a bubble. But that lava is under pressure. It's not dripping in the top. It's gone in a fraction. You wouldn't even realize that chamber was filling with lava before it killed you. It would happen that quickly. So that's where they were like, just if you stayed in the ship, I could have suspended disbelief. But when you go outside and deal with that other stuff, I'm out.
So, Doc, what was your overall review of the movie?
The first 20 minutes is a great nostalgic, journey into late 90s, early 2000s disaster tropes. I love the actors. I loved some of the stuff, but once I lost interest, once they started drilling into them, I was
got
like,
real silly.
And here's the thing: like, I usually watch. I've never left a cinema for a movie. I've always said I'm at the cinema. I'm going to watch the whole movie. And typically, if I take the time to watch a film, I'm going to watch the whole thing. By the last 45 minutes of this movie, I was watching it with the 10-second skip button.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, the next 2 minutes of this guy.
You might have missed the best part.
I might. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Maybe everything is explained, right? I could be getting it
Well,
wrong.
once they started killing people, I'm like,
okay,
let's just go through the necessary. Okay,
And
he's
then
gonna
when
die.
when
He's gonna
his
die.
shoes started melting.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
your shoes weren't
They said like
fireproof.
our suits can only handle 4,000 degrees, but it's 9,000 degrees, and it's like technology
That's
doesn't
a
work.
lot.
It doesn't work like that.
No.
If you can lift 400 pounds and I put 800 pounds on you, you're not
stable.
holding it up. You're just getting
stable.
crushed.
You're dead.
That guy would melt almost instantly. Like he would just combust. He would step in that room and combust, and his sacrifice would be in vain.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
He can
what,
last for a little while.
Just like my time spent watching this movie was in.
what if they had said that their suits could hold up to like 8,000 degrees? Would
If
that
it's
have-
made of unobtainium, I'm in. If it's not, I'm out.
it's like full Tony Stark Iron Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's magic MacGuffin, then
Mhm.
sure, I'll suspend my disbelief. If it's vaguely plasticky suit, no,
Mm-mm.
I'm not having it.
Well, Doc, consider yourself lucky because Jude's first pick for today was Moonfall.
was. It was.
I haven't seen
He
that.
saved
Oh
you.
wait, that's the one where
I've
yeah.
never seen it.
I haven't either. We
It's
need to
the
watch
one
it.
where
Yeah.
the moon crashes into the earth.
Yeah.
Is
And
that-
isn't Aaron Eckhart in that too?
No.
I thought it was Samuel Tarly from Game of
Yeah,
Thrones.
it's Samuel Tarly.
Aaron Eckhart, what's he doing?
And it's also Josh Lucas or whoever that one guy is.
There are two men by two different. There's one man. He goes by two different names. One of them is Josh Lucas, and the other one is Patrick Wilson. It's the same.
I
man.
think it's Patrick Wilson.
I need.
It doesn't matter. It's the same man. It's his pseudonym.
We need to make Jude watch that Aaron Eckhart Frankenstein movie.
I've seen that.
That's so fun.
It's so bad.
It's
I love
terrible.
it.
It's
Matt,
good. Yeah.
Matt, we've reviewed that for the podcast.
You have?
Have we? Oh
I
yeah.
must have got really wasted that day.
Yeah.
I did love Stanley Tucci was clearly slumming it
Oh, the
in this
dude.
film. He's a working
so
actor.
good. He's
He
so
went in,
good.
But I love that he had his redemption arc.
Yeah.
Like that was good. At the end, he overcomes his arrogance and he contributes. And I'm like, I love that. Like I was
Yeah.
rooting for that.
And then he's like talking into his little tape
Oh, yeah,
recorder
yeah,
at the end with
yeah.
his cigarette. And he's like, I'm gonna die.
Hey Doc, you're getting accused of some things in the chat.
No.
Says the
Oh,
good
no, the chat
doctor
is coming for him.
obviously works for Monarch
Oh,
and is trying to mislead us.
yep.
So
That makes
yeah.
sense.
So I am open to bribery and corruption, but
Yeah.
no one has ever.
Hail Hydra.
Yeah,
Hail Hydra.
He can't respond to that.
yeah.
Right, so-
Does he know the secret handshake? Also, this movie is famous for having the best touche pay.
Yeah, that's a good touche pay.
That's a good touche pay.
Yeah. He looks so great in it. I love Stanley Tucci.
All right, I've got one more science thing.
Oh,
on
good.
this.
Okay.
Right, and this one, chat, they could come at me for this, but
Okay.
Okay, so it's set inside the Earth, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, we on the surface of the Earth feel a force of gravity because the mass of the Earth and the mass of us, they attract each other, and we feel this force of gravity. As you start to travel inside the Earth, you're only feeling gravity from the mass interior to where you're traveling. So if this is the Earth
Mhm.
and you travel into here, you only feel gravity from the material inside the radius where you
Okay.
are, because the rest of the Earth cancels itself out.
Are you saying
There's
we're
stuff
going to get lighter as we go?
Yeah,
closer
you would
to
get
the
lighter. So in other words, if the Earth was hollow, say, I could suspend you in the middle of it.
Huh.
You would float. You would be weightless at this because there's just as much mass pulling you this way
So,
as
oh,
there is
okay.
pulling you that
Kind
way.
of.
So what you're
cool.
saying is the science for the Total Recall remake is correct.
Yep.
As when they
Yep,
flip
with
to
the
the
little-
center, they all go.
Uh-huh,
whoop,
you got
and
it, you
flip
got it,
around.
you got it.
Okay, all right.
So as they're drilling through the Earth,
Hmm.
they should be feeling lighter and lighter, and when they're near the core, they should almost be floating. They should be like they're in space,
Wow.
like that. Now
Okay.
that is something that is definitely true, even if we don't know exactly what the core of the Earth.
I'm
That's
actually
very-
appalled that you would bring up the Total Recall remake.
That
Yeah.
masterpiece. Of cinema.
That is the first positive thing anyone has ever said about
Yeah,
that movie.
it's
They
the
got
one
the science right.
Yep.
So the Total Recall movie is legit.
Yep,
The
yep,
remake is
yep, yep.
legit.
Oh yeah, Dennis right in the chat is talking about Tucci's cooking YouTube videos. They're amazing.
I, have not
I watch
seen
his
those.
TikToks.
We'll have to check those out.
Yeah.
Speaking of chat, we got a couple super chats to get to before we move on. William Forbus for $5. So you're saying there's no hollow Earth because of real science? Say it ain't so, because if there was a hollow Earth, it would show up on radar.
Yeah.
Also, William Forbus for another $5. Thank you, William. Oh shit, that's this movie. Hell yeah, my first Aaron Eckhart movie. It was hella dumb, but I loved it. 3.5 stars for me. Whales for the rescue, just like Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those good. Those nice whales.
Yeah, nice whales.
I liked those whales better.
Was-
What?
All right. And Dennis Wright for $4.99. Is a planet stable for life if the core is inert and cold?
Yeah, so Mars is an example of that. Mars is just going to stay exactly as it is pretty much, unless we do things to it to make it more dynamic. So this kind of relates to the three-body problem in terms of the effect of life on a system. But yeah, if we reliquefy the core of Mars, things on the surface will start to change. And if we don't, or if nothing happens, it will just sit there until the sun expands.
Hmm.
So without is Mars theoretically can what is the word I'm looking for? You know, where you like put plants and stuff on
terraform.
Can you terraform a planet
So-
without the core being?
No, so even
viable?
if we could revitalize the core, the planet is not massive enough to hold on to a thick atmosphere. So you'll never get Mars to a state where you would just step outside and walk around. But there's a term in science called ecoplanesis, which means to terraform as much as you can given the physical conditions of the planet.
So could we live on there in like a world like in the first Total Recall movie?
You could make
where
it,
we live underground and stuff.
yeah,
and
yeah. You
generate
could
all
live
that?
underground, and you could make it much less bad.
Okay.
You know, you could warm up the surface. You could make it so that if your dome cracks, the pressure difference is not so great. You know, but you would not just step outside. And be like, you could
Right.
make it to the point where you could walk around in like a scuba suit instead of a spacesuit.
Hmm.
Oh,
You
interesting.
could make it
Okay.
better, but
Until we find that
But
that
key
that,
to that-
that oxygen machine.
exactly, yeah. Until we find the alien,
That
the
alien
two-handed-
technology.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
can't go full Schwarzenegger on it. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, I love that film. I
Yeah. Oh, I love
the original
Total
Total Recall is
Way
my-
superior.
One of my favorites.
of all of humanity. We should have put that movie on a golden disc on the Voyager ships
Yes.
Oh.
into space.
You make a
to let
great
aliens know.
idea.
Yeah. That's our cultural.
You got to get your ass to Mars.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of the 3-body problem, let's talk about
Yeah.
the 3-body problem.
Good
and
segue, Dr.
how much it's
Target.
going to suck. So guys, most of the people on this panel probably never read the book.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, probably didn't hear of it, but it's kind of a big deal in science fiction terms. But I have so many problems with, number one, how the book is kind of praised, and number two, how this new Netflix show is going to be. Now, we're going to be talking about stuff that might be kind of spoilerish for the TV show. So if you guys don't,
But
wanna-
also, we don't know. We only know what is in the book.
So first of all, this book, it was written by a Chinese author, Shisen Liu, I think is how you pronounce it. So he's actually the guy who wrote The Wandering Earth.
Get out.
Oh my God. Okay.
It was based on the book that he created.
Wow.
All right, so full circle, like I said before.
All
But
right, compiling data.
Full hollow
Okay.
yes,
All right.
But
Has this book been approved by the state?
yes, it has.
Okay,
Like so,
all right.
Shisen Liu. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation.
Probably.
But so he's a full-fledged member of the Chinese Communist Party. His works are approved by the Chinese Communist Party, and that's the only reason why people know about them.
Great.
Because if they weren't approved, they would have never been published. Nobody would have ever gotten anything about it. But he's been, he toes the party line on this stuff. And so he wrote this science fiction trilogy called Remembrance of Earth's Past. And it's a 3-book series. It starts with the 3-body problem, and then it goes into the Dark Forest, and then a book called Death's End, which is the final book in the trilogy. And the 3-body problem was a Hugo Award winner of science fiction.
Huh.
And I have a problem with this because I've been to the Hugo Awards before, when I was into my publishing phase with my own books. And the Hugo Awards are so freaking like DEI, like woke
Yeah.
nonsense. Like if you are not a white male, you're going to win the award, essentially. And if you're as weird as possible, you're going to win the award. and so like after having read the book, The 3-Body Problem, I'm convinced that the only reason it won the Hugo Award was because it was a Chinese science fiction author, which is not very common. And that's the only reason it won. So, because one of the interesting things about these books is that they focus more on the scientific problems than character or story or anything like that. Like the original 3-Body Problem, it's all over the place when you're reading it. And eventually it comes together because there's like this mystery about what's going on and stuff like that. But in the meantime, when you're getting up to that point, you're just like, what the hell is going on in this book?
We started listening to the audiobook when we were on a road trip recently, and we gave it a couple of hours, and like about 2, maybe 3 hours into the trip, I was just like, I'm out. I put my earpods in. I started watching something else. It's so boring.
Yeah, that
and like
tracks.
I listened to like 2 or 3 hours of this thing, and I had no idea what was going on because it was just so boring. I couldn't follow it.
I I heard somebody on YouTube or something that said you have to get through the first 2 episodes of this, and then it starts picking up. But the first 2 episodes are like really
Of the Netflix
of the
series.
Netflix series. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the start of the book. So the overall story of this tale takes place over like 500 years, something like that. But the first part of the book, it starts off in the 1960s, 1970s.
Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, the Cultural Revolution in China. And basically, the first couple chapters are about one character who's not the protagonist of the book. And so they're doing all these things in the past that pay off later, but at the same time, you're just kind of like, why? I thought this was a science fiction story. Like, you know,
Mhm.
what's going on here? And then about 3 or 4 chapters in, it switches perspective to a different character who's going to be the main character going forward. And then he starts doing all these weird things, and you're just kind of like, what the hell's going on with this book? So it's a confusing book, but it's also like kind of boring because basically it had to be translated from Chinese. So like, you know, that was written in original Chinese and then it was translated over. And so like, there's always something lost in
And there's
translation.
a lot of isn't there a lot of characters in this that are like just switched? They like given new names and all kinds of stuff.
So we're talking about the book right now.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the TV show, which we're going to talk about in a minute,
Okay.
yes, there were like lots of liberties taken because basically they had to make it not boring,
Right.
you know. So basically, like the idea here is that this author is not very good with characters. A lot of the characters in the books are very boring, but the overall questions that the book brings up are kind of like the main thing that it's kind of at the forefront of why people like this stuff. I personally found these books to be terrible in the sense that, well, in the sense
Don't
that,
mince words,
Yeah, yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You're being too vague.
Yeah.
Don't mince words, Bones. Tell me what you really think.
well, they're incredibly cynical books because the whole idea behind these books is an alien invasion tale. And the whole idea behind them is that any civilized society, alien society in the galaxy will just kill any other society simply because they're worried that they'll kill them first. It's kind of like what we talked about in the core.
It's a prisoner's dilemma
Yeah.
type situation.
Yeah,
right?
but it's like we're going to build an earthquake machine because we think our our adversary.
What if our enemies had an earthquake
Yeah,
machine?
Exactly. So basically, the whole kind of concept behind the Dark Forest is that, you know, every civilization in the Dark Forest is a hunter, and they will kill you before you can kill them. And so it's this incredibly bleak view of like the universe in the sense that any sentient life out there is bad for you, and that, you know, we shouldn't seek out new life or new civilizations. It's basically the diametrically opposite idea behind Star Trek, where there is no bright future for humanity. Humanity, like once they find out that there's this alien invasion coming, like it's bedlam, like there are riots, there's, you know, like global warming and like, you know, all this other stuff. And basically humanity is just like, you know, it's a waste of time essentially. So these books are so nihilistic in my opinion that I don't want to keep reading them because like, they're just bad.
It's like a horror, right? Everything is horrible. Like the universe itself dying, everything is bad. And it's, I think one of the most sort of terrifying parts is there's an idea in science called the Fermi paradox that says if there's life out there in the universe, and there should be because we have hundreds of billions of planets and hundreds of billions of stars and hundreds of billions of galaxies, why haven't we heard anything, right? That's the Fermi paradox, if it is common. And the answer to the Fermi paradox in this question is, you know, someone sends out a signal and the answer that comes back is, be quiet, they're listening.
Mhm.
Like it's that sort of do not stick your head above the parapet because the dark forest is full of hunters. And so every single aspect of the world that the books create is depressing. Doesn't make it wrong because some of life is depressing, but it is a depressing book series.
Depressing, like, you know, once I die, people will forget about me 2 generations later.
Yeah.
So why bother?
But it's not even that. It's like then they'll die, then everything, then the earth will die, and then the universe will die, and everything will die. And it's
the sun's gonna expand and kill us all in a couple billion years anyway. So
well, I have this conversation.
Why does it matter?
I have a lecture in cosmology where I say, look, here are the 3 ways that the universe is going to end. It's going to end like this, like this, and like this. And I had a student put their hand up and say, well, doesn't that make everything pointless? And I said, well, look, I'm going to end, but it doesn't mean I don't care deeply about the time between now and that point, right? So that's the optimism part, whereas this book goes completely the other way, and that every avenue it takes you down veers into a more depressing avenue after that. It really is like this. It dangles hope in front of you like a shiny object in front of a cat, and then rips it away, and it keeps doing it over and over again.
Yeah, and there are a lot of communist principles in the books that are kind of espoused, like anti-religion, like anti-individuality and stuff like that. So it's not a good, happy, fun time.
So why would Netflix take a book like this to make a series out of?
Well, it wasn't Netflix that took it. So basically, after Game of Thrones ended, Dan Benioff and DB Weiss got a development deal at Netflix for like $250 million, something like that. And they had been kind of circling this property with a collaborator of theirs to produce. And so basically they had the rights to the book, and they decided that they were going to do this, and Netflix was on board because they want like a big sci-fi series. Now, this isn't anything like Game of Thrones. It's not like super twisty or
no dragons.
Yeah, no dragons, no duplicity and stuff. Well, there might be a little bit, but the idea here, the big idea, is that Earth makes contact with a alien race, and the alien race has an issue with their home planet, and they decide Earth is going to be a better place to live, and so they decide they're going to leave their planet and come to Earth and basically wipe out humanity and just take over our planet.
Yeah. Basically, it's Independence Day, but
yeah.
not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And so this alien race, they're called the Trisolarans. And when humanity finds out about it, of course, there's like factions where it's like we welcome our alien overlords. And there's the factions where like, okay, we need to stop this from happening and save our planet and stuff like that. And the first book, it's mostly about how society deals with the idea that aliens are coming, and because they're like in a system 4 light years away, it's going to take them 450 years to get to Earth in order to take it over. So most people are like, well, that doesn't affect me, so like fuck it, type thing. But the books really kind of focus on the overarching meta picture of how humanity deals with this impending existential threat.
Good job.
Right. Thank you. I'm a wordsmith.
You did it.
That's a hard word.
I did it. Yes. But first, I wanted to ask Dr. Target, can you explain what the actual 3-body problem is? Not the TV show, but the actual scientific concept.
Sure. The reference in this case is to the concept of gravitational stability in systems that have several objects that are of similar mass. So you can have, a single sun with lots of planets going around it, and that works great because the planets don't weigh much compared to the star. You can have 2 stars going around each other in a binary system, and that's stable with planets going around them because that's fine because, again, the planets are small compared to the stars. But with 3 large objects, like 3 stars, a trinary system, if you think having a 3-way is hard in real life, it's even harder in physics, believe me. And it's almost impossible to set up a stable stellar system with 3 similar massed objects. And that's why Tri-Solaris, 3 stars, that's where they're coming from. They're like, our world is so unstable because we have 3 stars. And when they go into eclipse of each other, it freezes. When they're all in the sky, we burn. It's a really harsh environment, which is why they want to leave like that. So yeah, it's referencing this idea in physics that it's very hard to have a stable trinary system.
Yeah, and in the TV show and in the books, basically, there's a video game that's created that kind of takes the homeworld of the Trisolarans, and humans go into this game and they try to figure out, okay, how can we help the Trisolarans stay on their planet with this 3-body, the 3-sun system. And there was a Chinese version of this TV show. It went for like 30 episodes. It covered all 3 books. The American version is going to be just the first book, I think. They've said that they want to do at least 4 seasons to kind of like cover all 3 books. So they do have a plan for this thing. But basically, one of the big issues I came across when I was reading the book, and they got to the part where it's like a video game where the main character goes into this game and he's not supposed to be there, but he kind of like sneaks in, and he starts seeing like how the game is being played, and he sees like representations of like human representations of the Trisolarans, where like they're like a primitive culture, and they've got like basically they dehydrate their civilization and kind of shrink wrap them
to survive the extreme,
to survive the chaos of their homeworld. And then like once a chaotic age passes and there's a stable age, they rehydrate all of society. And people, it's almost like remember when you were a kid and you had like those little pill things you drop in water and they'd like puff up into like actual humans or like actual toys or like whatever. Not humans, sorry. But in the story,
I love my human puff ups.
Yeah. But in the story, basically the Trisolarans would hibernate, and like a small group of them would kind of like bear the chaotic age until it was time for them to like rehydrate them and bring them back. But my whole thing when I was reading through that was that how could the civilization become so much more advanced than ours if like they're spending hundreds of years in hibernation?
This is good. So this is about time, okay? In that, we've gone from a relatively simplistic society to landing on the moon in a period of 300 years. Now, the universe has been around for 13.8 billion. So even in these kind of extreme situations, all they needed would be even 10,000 year start, and the technological offsets could be overwhelming.
Right.
So I don't mind that. I think and to answer this question, I'm actually excited for this series. Like, despite the depression, I love my sci-fi slow and boring. I love Star Trek the Motion Picture. I love that. And then if it's the same with Isaac Asimov, the Foundation series, which thank you, Jude, for reminding these people that the TV show, the TV show is like a shiny hamburger and they're gobbling, and you're like, it's a steak right here. Like, eat the steak.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this burger's great. And I'm like, eat the fuck. Can I
give me my ground beef, man.
Like, that's the, no, it's the way of it. So with Asimov, he has the same problem, right? His sci-fi he has no character.
Too highbrow.
It's about ideas. This is the same, except those ideas are all depressing. So I'm excited for it like that, because they mess around with some real fun stuff in this. So the Trisolarans, the game that Matt was describing, is actually like a psyop. It's a human faction sympathetic to the Trisolarans have put this game out to actually make more people sympathetic to the Trisolarans.
Interesting.
And the Trisolarans are messing with us in a fascinating way. And as a physicist, this is the best part. So this isn't a spoiler because it's the first thing that happens. But a lot of government agencies notice that scientists are killing themselves. And that triggers this investigation. And the reason they're doing that is that the Trisolarans are worried that in their 450-year journey here, because you can't go faster than the speed of light, that we will develop technology in order to resist them. So what they've done is change physics and our ability to measure the universe locally. So they've created like a little bubble around us where we can't test the universe fully. So quantum mechanics that makes it hard to measure where things are, that's a result of like Trisolaran interference. They're doing these kind of things to us. And so the scientists are like, my life has been a lie. Like, all the models of the world I've built are just Trisolaran propaganda.
It's bonkers how much more interesting you just made that.
Yeah, no, seriously, there's good stuff. But it is like Asimov in that the characters are pointless, the ideas are good. And the science isn't flawless, but at least he touches on quantum entanglement and he touches on real things. But I love this idea of, because one of the biggest fears of a scientist is, we can test all these things here on the Earth, but we have to make it's an educated assumption, but we have to assume that physics works the same in the rest of the universe. Otherwise, the universe is unknowable.
Right.
And so I love this idea of, it's not you're being manipulated to prevent you from doing this, and it's by these tiny atomic-sized supercomputers and stuff like that.
I wanted to ask you this, kind of back in the chat up, or the discussion up a few minutes, but you're an astrophysicist. How many tri-star systems are out there? Have we discovered these? Are they?
So here's the thing. Half of all the stars you see in the sky are actually binary star systems.
Right.
So half of them are single, there are a few trinaries, and the only stable solution to a three-body problem is not even that stable. You have two stars that are very close to each other and one much further away. And the only reason it's stable is the two are close enough together, they act gravitationally as if it was just one. So there are trinary systems, but it's not common.
Interesting.
And there certainly isn't one that I know of with an alien race on it about to kill us. I can't disprove it.
Right. I had never really thought about it before. I know there's binaries out there. I'd never heard about the tri.
You could even have a quadernary system,
right?
Two binaries that are separate enough from each other. They're treated as one unit, but that's going to be even rarer.
Have two binary systems that kind of like
the binaries orbit each other. Yeah, you can do it. It's not easy.
Yeah. And we had a question in the chat about like the Tatooine in Star Wars.
Yes, that's unstable. You're dead. There's no way to.
Not going to happen.
If you think about it, the stars orbit each other in the same plane as the planets do. So every time the stars go into eclipse, every time the stars goes into eclipse, you lose all the heat from the one behind the other one, and you freeze to death.
Wow.
And every time when they come out of eclipse, you incinerate.
Interesting. So a planet around a binary star
is not a great place. A trinary is even worse.
At least for humans.
At least for humans, and for dehydrated Trisolarans.
Somebody else mentioned the Pitch Black movies
Oh,
in the
yeah,
chat
yeah.
earlier.
I love those
Is that
movies.
Trinary?
I forget. It's been so long since I've
Yeah,
seen
I don't
that.
remember that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I forget. Yeah, it does go into
I
Eclipse. I think
thought
it goes into
There was
Eclipses.
just two. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about the Netflix TV show and the adaptation of the book stuff.
Brought to you by the guys who did season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Not only that, but everyone's favorite Star Wars director Ryan Johnson is also an executive
Oh, yeah.
producer.
Oh, I don't even want to watch this
I
now.
know. I know.
So we got Dan Benioff, DB Weiss, and Ryan Johnson attached to this
Dream
thing.
team.
Yeah,
I'm leaving.
the dream team.
Oh.
So essentially, they've basically made this movie for what they call or I should say series for a worldwide audience. And what that means is basically just like more than Chinese, because in the books, all the characters are Chinese. So they've, made some of them American, some of them British, they've set the story in Britain. And they've also changed a lot of the characters. So they've taken some characters from later books and brought them forward into the first season of the show. And one of the interesting technologies that is introduced, I believe, in book 2 is the idea of cryogenic stasis, where basically you can, like rich people in this book universe, created, cryogenic stasis so that they could, go to sleep for like a really long time and then wake up in the future where the technology is available to cure them of some type of disease or something like that.
But it's kind of like in Foundation, where they have a character span multiple centuries by bringing them in and out of hibernation.
Yeah.
There are characters in this series that span the long periods of time by being in stasis in between.
Yeah, but these characters are always kind of like they're introduced in different books, which is a different time frame. So by the time book 2 comes around, I believe the main characters from book 1 are kind of like gone or something like that. But the show brings a lot of these characters to season 1, and I can only assume that they're eventually going to be cryogenically put to sleep until such time as when 500 years later they show up back up again. But they've kind of crafted this around the central mystery of, okay, a lot of scientists are dying. Why is this? And there's this weird countdown that they're seeing in their vision, and they're like, what is it counting down to, and how is this happening to my vision? And this is all stuff from the book. But in addition to bringing some of the future book characters forward, they've taken the main character from book 1, the main protagonist, and split him into a couple different characters.
Oh, that's always good.
Yeah, the primary of which is a woman, and in the book, he's a nanotech, like nanomaterial scientist, and so like that's this character's role, and they're also kind of like bringing forward the anti-human group a little bit more in the forefront because they were a little bit more shadowy in the book. And I'm not quite sure who Liam Cunningham's character is, because I have
Wilmot?
the Onion Knight.
Oh, okay. Oh, Davos.
I just want to know if there's a group of British kids that go through the tunnel at some point to try to save the world with what's on the other
And
side.
they end up in France.
And they end up in France.
Yeah.
In a sex dungeon, in the sex dungeon apartment.
Yes.
I don't think that's approved by the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think that's-
That's a swing.
Is this like going to be invasion level bad?
Well, Chris Gore's seen the entire season, and in his review of this, he said the first few episodes were slow.
That's who I was talking about earlier. Yes.
but the entire season's really good. He really liked it. Now, again, when Dan Benioff and DB Weiss have good source material to steal from, they can produce a good TV show. However, I didn't like the source material for this, and there's been a very faithful adaptation of it in China, and you can actually watch it on Peacock. It's called 3 Body. If you go on there and search for it, so you can watch like the entire book series adaptation that they did in China, if you want to read that much subtitling.
Did you watch that?
I haven't had a chance to yet.
Okay.
I'm going into this thing blind.
Yeah.
I'm just going to judge it for what it is, and if it entertains me, I'll I'll let you know.
I got some super chats.
Yes, you
Yes.
do.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Who's hosting the show here,
You got to
guys?
think, like, in my job, I
It's
talk
his
to
first time getting
Yeah.
super chat.
like, I talk to hundreds of kids every day who don't want to be there and don't listen to me. And here we have someone paying actual currency
Yeah,
to talk to me. This is a radically different experience.
but I respect Chris's opinion on a lot of things. So
Yeah.
maybe it's gonna be all right. I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see, like, so it's a binge model, which I think helps when you're starting off a series slowly. So, like, basically, like, if the first 2 or 3 episodes are slow, you can kind of power through those and give it 5 episodes. It's only 8 episodes, right?
That's
So,
easy.
yeah.
So here's the reason I'm not worried about the Benioff and Weiss production, because Game of Thrones, sure, once you get past like season 4, season 5, it jumps shark after shark. It's jumping every sea creature.
When they start writing themselves.
When they start writing, but what I did enjoy their adaptation in the early seasons when there was source material to adapt. Given that this is a complete book series, maybe they're going to be the right team to adapt an extant and complete series. So I'm not forgiving Ryan Johnson. He is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Why does he have to be?
But maybe
touching this?
Benioff and Weiss can make this happen.
Well, so it's obvious that they're changing a lot from the books, and it was kind of funny because, like, the virtual reality world where they're playing the 3-body game in the books, it's basically like you have like your HP PC on your desk, because it happens in the 90s in the books, and he's got like his little like headset thing, and it's all very like low tech, and then, like, you look at the series and it's like these special goggles that you put over your head, and it's like this immersive like experience and stuff like that. It's like, I can understand updating that type of thing, but there's a lot of new characters that weren't in the original 3-body stories that are being introduced. They're changing up a lot of like the mystery and things like that. We probably spoiled more in our discussion for our chat than we should have, in all honesty. But Netflix,
it hasn't come out yet, so
Netflix is really looking at this as a
it's all
a
guesswork.
new sci-fi franchise for them, and they really want it to succeed. So the question is it going to capture the zeitgeist like Game of Thrones did? I don't think it will.
No.
Will it be good? I'm kind of on the fence, but what do you guys think?
I think the other thing I think that works well between this and Game of Thrones is that Game of Thrones does this thing where it would take you along, you think everything is going one way, and then it takes a hard left. And then you think everything's going that way, and then it takes a hard left. And characters that you thought were like, all just evil, like Jaime Lannister, turn out to be really good characters.
Right.
Like, the books seem to follow that kind of pathway. It's like, for a long time, you think it's going to be this, kind of like predicting tropes that you talked about in the previous one. And then it takes a side turn. The only downside is it always seems to take a side turn. Like, nothing ever proceeds like you think it will. So Game of Thrones-y, maybe Benioff and Weiss can make it happen. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time. I think the last series I was genuinely excited for was The Expanse. I love that show. I grew up in an era of multiple Star Trek series, Stargate, Doctor Who, all of these things, and I've been starved for new sci-fi. So I am cautiously optimistic.
So this is going to be a show for the brainy science.
This is going to be slow, boring.
So I'm going to hate it.
You're going to hate it.
I'm going to hate it.
I don't even think there are any boobs in it either.
Oh,
no, fuck this show.
I'm not watching. I got Fallout to watch. It's probably
oh yeah, you're excited for that.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that in a second. I want to call up some super chats unless anyone has anything else.
No, I'm done. I'm got a brainy science fiction show coming out.
Jude, are you excited about watching the show at all?
I never need to talk about it again, or maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. I feel nothing about it.
Probably gonna be the greatest thing ever made.
I hope it turns out to be great. Yeah, I don't ever root for a show to be bad. If it turns out to be great, we'll watch it. And I'll probably watch the first couple of episodes, and then if it's not for me, I won't watch it anymore.
Based on what Chris said, I'm going to give it 5. It's got 5 episodes.
I don't know if I can commit to that.
Okay.
I can't. All right. The Astro Nerd Boy for $10. Science question. In 2010, Jupiter becomes a new star, making our solar system binary. How would this actually impact Earth if Jupiter became a small star?
Okay, good. So Jupiter, the smallest star you can have, is 75 times the mass of Jupiter. That's the minimum mass you need for nuclear fusion to occur for it to become a star. 2010 can get around it by magic obelisks. Like you could artificially make it a star, but it would never naturally become a star. So you couldn't do it in that kind of scenario.
But what if it did happen?
What if it did happen? Then the orbits of every single, well, the mass wouldn't change. If it's artificial and you keep the mass the same, nothing changes. So for example, if I were magic and I click my fingers and I replace the sun at the center of our solar system with a black hole that weighs the same as the sun, nothing changes. It's dark, but everything just keeps going around it.
How far away is the sun from Earth?
1 astronomical unit, or 93 million miles, or 1.15 times 10 to the 11 meters.
And how far away is Jupiter from there?
5 times that.
Okay.
Jupiter is 5.2 AU, AU being Earth to Sun distance from
Because all the models you see, you just got the sun, and
Yeah. So as long
but
as
it's really the sun, and then we're here,
Yeah.
and then Jupiter's like bam.
way out, yeah,
Okay, so
it's huge.
Mhm.
But yeah, as long as the mass didn't change, the solar system would be stable. But if the mass changes,
it would just throw everything
then
out.
you've got a 3-body problem,
Oh,
and
boy.
everything is, all the planets are dead.
We're crashing into Mars
Yep,
and
yep.
stuff. All right, fun.
Okay. William Forbus for $10. Question for the doc. Have you ever played or seen gameplay of No Man's Sky in its procedurally generated space exploration / resource gathering? How accurate are the world / life in different systems?
I think they actually went too barren. Like so much of No Man's Sky has like blank planets in it. But I want to say for me, I love procedural generation because it lets you open up a world that's too big to program individually. I love playing the original Elite back in the day on PC. That was the first that had to be procedural because you couldn't fit any more data on a floppy disk
Yeah.
than you had capacity to. So I've loved a lot of the ideas of these new games, but I wish I could play it. I have a 6-year-old kid, and that's all my time right now. So once I emerge from dad duty, I'm getting back into
Have you
it.
played Helldivers 2 yet?
Oh, I really want to join you. Believe me, I want to join you.
It's so much
Like that. I was hoping you'd have me on to talk about Starship Troopers. And it was like, oh my god, I got to.
Oh,
Then you
we
have
can
me on to talk
that.
about the core. Like, that's,
Well, to answer William Forbus, Alex and I were both big No Man's Sky fans. I played it when it first came out. Was very disappointed when it first came out, but we've since revisited it, and I really enjoy that game.
it's
Can you
been
get
updated.
I'll have to check it out. Can you get it on Steam?
Yeah.
All right.
You can get it on Steam, no problem. All right, guys. So now that we've talked about the 3-body problem, let's talk a little bit about something that Matt Vader requested,
I did.
which is Amazon's Fallout
Oh,
TV
Fallout, yeah.
show. Yeah, like you specifically told me I want to talk about this.
Well, I just wanted to make sure we were going to watch it, talk about it with our new format going forward, our new old format. That's what I want to do.
So to give everyone like a heads up, so the Bethesda video game series
Mhm.
Fallout was adapted into an Amazon TV show, and it's going to be released in early April, I believe. And it is basically, I think it's 8 episodes.
Yeah,
if
it's
I'm
8
not
episodes.
mistaken. And unlike most Amazon shows, and this is kind of weird, they're releasing the entire series at once. Now, typically, I like that model because I like to be able to watch TV shows at my own pace. But Amazon had been very strict about doing the week-to-week release stuff. They did it with Reacher. They did it with, pretty much all their original series. And that, there's a lot of debate as to like which model is better because the week-to-week gives it a chance to build an audience and stuff like that. And the binge model, gets people like super excited and just like devours it, and they become hardcore fans very quickly. I've been a big critic of the week-to-week model for streaming, simply because I feel like it can kill momentum for shows. Like for instance, Star Wars Andor, right? Very slow show,
Right.
correct? And if that had been released all at once as a binge series, I think people would have kind of come into appreciate it more than they did, because it was so slow. Like releasing it week to week, it was just like it was painful.
Mhm.
People lost interest in it really quick.
Yeah, that was me.
Right, Doc?
Yep.
So I'm questioning why Amazon is deciding to release this as a binge.
It's weird, right?
To week. So it leads me to believe that they either want people to get into it super quick, because one of the problems they ran into with Rings of Power was, doing the week to week model. Like a lot of people, like it was very famous that people only watched like 4 episodes and then like fucked off. Right. So by releasing all this at once, maybe they're hoping to cash in on the fan base, and then in season 2, they'll do like week to week once they have a firm fan base that they can do this with. Now, one of the interesting things about Fallout is that it's from Jonathan Nolan, who did Person of Interest, which is a great show, especially nowadays with all the AI stuff going on. But he also was responsible for Westworld, and he's producing this show with his producing partner, Lisa Joy, and he is responsible for directing the first 3 episodes. Now, I think Jonathan Nolan is one of the leading science fiction creators in Hollywood right now. Like, I loved Westworld.
I love the first couple seasons of Westworld.
Yeah.
Then they just went weird.
But all of Person of Interest was fantastic. He's brothers with Christopher Nolan, who's one of the greatest living filmmakers currently. And there was a little bit of controversy early on where he basically said in an interview that he's not making the show for fans. But here's the thing: like, if you actually like read into that interview, so first of all, he's a big fan of the game.
Mm-hmm.
He played the game for like 3 years, apparently. Like, he was just like obsessed with it. So he is a fan of the source material, and his exact quote was basically, you can't always please the fans of this stuff.
Right.
And so I would rather keep the big segments from the game that I enjoyed and then do my take on that stuff.
Right.
And because he has a track record of actually doing like good stuff, I'm a little bit more lenient on something like this than I normally would be.
I took what he said as, I'm a fan of this show, and so you don't need to worry about me not being respectful and faithful to the lore, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm already a fan. I'm making this as something that I want to see. So if you're a fan like me, you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Kind of like Terry Matalas with season 3 of
yeah,
Fallout, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I know everybody was saying this guy is making a show not for the fans, and I'm like, that's not how I read that quote. I took that whole thing as kind of fake newsy. You know what I mean? So
I think I don't confuse like for the fans. Like, I don't think some people mean by for the fans, they're just going to give them everything they want.
Right. And
we don't mean
you don't always necessarily want to do that.
We mean he means he's making a show that he hopes fans will enjoy because he enjoys it.
Yeah.
So it's not pure fan service.
I'm one of you.
Yeah.
I'm making something for us.
It may not be your perfect dream, but it's going to be made with love.
And everything that I've seen with love. Yeah. And everything that I've seen,
go make it yourself.
Everything that I've seen of this show so far, the trailer, and they released another like 2-minute clip today of the show. It looks really good. I mean, I can't sit here and say that I'm a huge fan of the game because I haven't played a ton of it. I played Fallout on my Commodore 64 when it first came out years ago. Completely different style of gameplay from what they have now. So, but as far as I can tell, the aesthetics, right? It looks fun, it looks campy. They got the music correct. It looks like a Fallout show that if I was a filmmaker, it was like something I would make. That's what I've envisioned this world to look like in a modern television show. Now, that's not saying he got it all right, because we just don't know. But for a very long time, I've been looking forward to this. And so far, I haven't seen anything that's making me want to not watch it. It's like people will say, "Oh, it's got another lady as the lead of the show." It's like, I don't care. I don't care. So what? I like hot chicks.
Yeah, if it's a good show, it doesn't matter. It's like, that's always the case that you guys have made. Like, it's a good show, it doesn't matter.
And it's got cool characters. It's got Walton Goggins in it. I love him. He's great.
Bitch raping time.
Yeah. So
5:00.
Yep.
Everything about this so far looks good. Am I going to have to eat my words in a few weeks? Maybe. And if it, like I said earlier, if something sucks, I will say it.
Yeah, I'm going to look like a chump if the core of the earth stops spinning. So
Way to bring it back.
Anyway,
well, I'll say this: I've liked everything that Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy have made together. I think Person of Interest is a very underappreciated show. That by the end of that series, like, that got like hardcore, like awesome. Like, it was like an AI war. It was very realistic to like the type of AI that we're seeing right now. And there's even some shades of like three body problem in terms of like, there's a section of humanity that is just subservient to the AI, and then there's a section of humanity where the AI is trying to preserve humanity and they're working with them instead of like making them their subjects. And so Jonathan Nolan really has like a lot of like interesting sci-fi concepts that he likes to promote in his TV shows. And I was addicted to Fallout 3 when it came out. I must have played like hundreds of hours of that game because I love RPGs, and the world was so interesting. It was my first exposure to the Fallout universe because I didn't play Fallout 2 or the original one. And so like that's been my Fallout going forward. And Bethesda has dropped the ball in the games, afterwards because like Fallout 76 and what is it?
Vegas. Was the Vegas one?
Well, Vegas was good. But Fallout 4 wasn't as good. But I always loved going on like these side quests and being dragged into these like really detailed stories that take place in this universe. And I feel like the show is just like that's what they're doing, and this is just another story in this universe.
Sure.
And like in the game, like you can choose to play as like a girl if you want to, so like it's not a big deal. Like if one of the vault dwellers is a girl and that's the main character that you're kind of going along, because it's the world that's important. Whenever a sci-fi series takes root with like a hardcore fan base, it's because there's a world there that the fans can go in and out of whenever they want to. Star Trek, Star Wars, all this stuff. It was the universe, it was the world that people loved, and people love Fallout. The only thing I can think of is to compare this to, though, is the Halo TV show. Now, if you want to show how to piss off a fan base and not adapt a video game into a TV show, look at Halo. Like even with season 2, they were like, "Hey, we're going to come back and fix a lot of the stuff that you didn't like in season 1." It's like, no, you guys just doubled down.
You made it worse.
Yeah, literally made it worse.
Even as someone who didn't play the game, I couldn't even enjoy the show because the show just sucked.
Yeah.
They didn't even like change it so much that they made it still a watchable show for somebody who wasn't into all of the lore. It was still just bad across the board.
Yeah, it wasn't just bad that Master Chief took off his helmet, but you had this character like Quan Ha, which they're just like, stop trying to make Quan Ha happen.
Yeah,
right.
Like she's terrible. Nobody likes her. Why do you keep bringing her back? My take on it was it should have just been Band of Brothers on the freaking Halo ring from the start. It's like, drop a group of soldiers in there, like those are your main characters. Master Chief is among them, but he's like not the main character. He's just kind of like they're driving the action forward, and give us Halo. Just do a 1-to-1 adaptation of the game. Don't do all this bullshit that you're doing with this other like storyline. Like I gave season 2 a chance, and it was rough.
I watched the first couple episodes and I was just like, nope. But Fallout, it's 8 episodes. I think I can choke it down even if it's bad. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Dr. Target, are you looking forward to the Amazon adaptation?
I am. I have an world building for me in science fiction is catnip. Like I don't care how you can have, like I told you with Asimov, you can have no characters but a world, and I still want to live in it.
There's something weirdly attractive to me about post-apocalyptic fictional futures. I don't even know why. I think it was because I was raised on the Road Warrior and stuff like that. I love that. It's like, it's like, I want to go buy shoulder pads and put spikes on them and get a stupid helmet and a hockey mask. And you just go live in the wasteland. That's right outside my back door. I think it's why I like living in the desert.
I have a bat that I keep next to the bed, and I really want to hammer nails into it.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm surviving the apocalypse. I'm far too soft. Like if I have survival food, I'm just storing food for the toughest guy on the block. Like if I imagine myself in a post-apocalypse, I'm probably one of the skulls that the Terminator is stepping on at the beginning of. Like that's me. Yeah. I'm not making it long.
I'm right there.
You don't want to go to Wasteland Weekend?
No,
that's a real thing. I wonder if they're still doing that. The whole Mad Max. There was a giant, like it's like a whole weekend long where everybody dressed up in Mad Max outfits, and they had like these junker cars that they would do all this stuff. It was just look up Wasteland Weekend online, guys, and you will.
What happens?
You will
Wasteland
lose.
Weekend
You will lose your mind because it is really cool. Yeah, with Wasteland Weekend Las Vegas or something like that.
Jude, I know you're not a gamer, but will you be watching the Fallout TV show on Amazon?
I'll probably watch the first episode with you, and then I'll be like, this isn't really for me.
Well, we're going to talk about it on the show, so.
Oh, well, then I guess I have to watch it. Oh, that'll be a great time for me to quit the show.
Yeah.
Payback for the core.
Yeah.
It's payback for Invasion.
which I guess we're going to be reviewing season 3.
No.
Oh, God.
No.
We kind of have to.
No.
We kind of have to, Jude. That's funny.
I'm gonna blow up the building. Said no salt, no invasion season 3.
All right, guys, we got some super chats to get to. All right, from Late Night Cat with Cat podcast, JT Gunn for $2. Your mama is so fat she has enough mass for a star.
Wow. That's pretty fat.
That's no moon.
Thank you, JT.
All right, Tim P, member for 1 month. Loving all the science talk today. I'm playing Kerbal Space Program right now while I listen. I've heard a lot of good things.
What is that?
God bless you, my son. Kerbal Space Program is a sort of physics real space program simulator where you design and build the rockets. And it's the wonderful thing about it is that orbital dynamics, the way things move in three-dimensional space and gravity, is not something our brains process that well. We haven't evolved to fly in space. Kerbal Space Program will train you to think the way rocket scientists think.
Is this something future astronauts should play with?
Yeah, no, definitely. Kerbal
Right
Space
on.
Program. It's kind of like Minecraft for space nerds. It's worth a go.
Ooh, I
Like, give
bet
it to
my
your
son would
kids.
be into
Yeah,
that.
Let your kids play.
Yeah.
Give it to your kids. Otherwise, they might become art majors.
Ugh, don't want that.
Yeah, gross.
Ew.
All right, Backyard TARDIS for $5. I hated Andor, but did watch. If it was binge, I would have stopped by episode 4 or 5. Well, there's only like 6 episodes. But
Wasn't there like 9? Isn't there like three chapter like?
yeah, you're
things.
right. You're right.
If they had released Andor in 3 episode arcs, it would have been way more palatable, I think.
It was basically a trilogy of movies,
Yeah.
essentially, what it came down to, because the episodes were only like 30, 40 minutes long, something like that.
Something like that.
But I don't know, like, of all the new Star Trek stuff, like Andor is my favorite. Like, I just
Wow,
think
you need to like correct that really quick before you get destroyed.
Uh,
Star Trek Andor? You said Star Trek.
Oh, sorry, Star Wars.
There you
Andor.
go.
Yeah, there you
There you go.
of all the new Star Wars,
Nerd card, give it.
Yes.
You have failed me for the last.
of all the new Star Wars, Andor has been my favorite because I think it's one of the few that has rewatchability to it. Like, you can go back and rewatch those episodes and start pulling out new things from them. And so I'm actually really looking forward to season 2 of that.
Well, you're the only one.
Yeah, probably. All right, we got a 2-month member chat from Major Chai Chai, one of our big membership gifters. Good to see you, Major. I decided to follow you because of your rapport with each other and Mr. Kadish's impassioned stance on Picard season 3.
It's a good season.
Yeah,
It's wild.
I was out. You guys brought me back in.
Yeah.
I was even. I was.
It was.
hit by that.
It's an anomaly.
It is. But it's a
But-
difference. I can enjoy that in a vacuum, right? I
Oh,
can
yeah.
All the with Star Wars, I can't forgive living in a world where my 3 characters I love were treated so badly. No, it doesn't matter how good a new Star Wars movie is. I'm tainted by.
I
by
can
what they
take-
did to-
I can take the Next Generation.
Yeah.
And then I can discard everything else that's come out in the last 5, 6, whatever years since they've rebooted it, and just make season 3 an extension of the last season of the Next Generation.
Exactly.
Well,
So-
I don't know if you guys remember, but at a certain point, Picard season 3, it lost me in a very hard way.
Yeah,
And
you were.
and I
little
made
upset about
videos
something.
where basically I called out your fallacies
That's
about,
okay.
about that
It's
shit.
not perfect. It's
No.
it's the least bad, easily, and in many
But-
ways it can be good.
I really liked it overall.
You
There were some things in it where I was like, you guys are blinded by fanboy loyalty to some of the really poor story choices.
It needs
that-
like a fandom edit, right? We
Yeah.
could take out. we could fix it.
exactly.
I love your Wade video. Wade.
Yeah, that was gold.
That was Obi-Wan.
I know,
That
but
was
still,
Obi-Wan.
God, that was abysmal. Jesus,
Yeah. Can you believe that they're pushing for a season 2?
No.
No, I don't want that.
don't want that.
All right, guys. So we got some more stuff to talk about today.
We do.
Yes, we do.
Are you adding stuff? Are you putting things?
This was all in the email, Vader.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
I know you don't like to read,
I don't read.
but don't call me out on stream.
Are you adding
is pre-planned.
things?
So, guys, one of our favorite movie franchises of all time is getting remade. Deathstalker.
Oh,
coming back to life.
Yeah.
And,
Amazing.
Yeah. So, like, the writer and director of one of the movies that we reviewed for the show, called Psycho Gorman, has gotten the rights somehow from Roger Corman to remake the Deathstalker franchise. And I believe he's already cast as Deathstalker. I forget the name of the actor who
Wow.
was in it, but I can remember very clearly, long time ago, where Vader was like, "Guys, we're going to watch this movie called Deathstalker
Yeah.
because it's about barbarians
And boobs.
and boobs. And if we don't watch it, I'm quitting the podcast.
Mhm.
And I was not looking forward to
It's
watching this.
amazing.
But it turned out to be one of the funnest fucking movies
Yeah.
Yeah.
to watch. Jude, do you want to give us a breakdown of what the first Deathstalker is about?
Stalker, where is he? No, I don't. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm gonna have to look up the synopsis on IMDb.
It's just a bunch of hot, sweaty people
Yeah, it's this guy
killing
named
each other
Deathstalker
with swords.
who turns
all
out
it
to
is.
be like the prince.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's barbarian
There's an
nonsense
orgy.
with orgies
Yeah.
and booze and beheadings
Yeah.
and a lot of titties everywhere. That's basically all these movies
That's
are.
that's your mind.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
That
good.
is your mind.
It's low budget. It really isn't good, but they're just fun. So
Well, it was funny
And-
because Roger Corman spent a lot of money creating sets in Argentina.
yeah,
Mhm.
And they were like medieval sets. And he was like, okay, we need to use these sets.
let's make 8 more movies
Yeah.
on these
Yeah.
same sets. Yeah,
Yeah. So basically, there were 4 Deathstalker movies in total. The main character, Deathstalker, is played by a different actor in each one.
Yeah.
And they're all so tonally different. It's like the first one's a hardcore like fantasy story,
Mhm.
and then the second one's like a comedy almost.
Yeah.
And we haven't watched the third or fourth one.
Okay, so I have the synopsis. A lone warrior nicknamed Deathstalker, but in the second one, it's factual.
He's just
that
Deathstalker.
his name is actually Deathstalker.
First name Death, last name
Yeah.
Stalker.
yeah.
Is sent by a witch on a quest to find a sword, a chalice, and an amulet, 2 of which are held by the wicked king and sorcerer Munkar.
And
Fantastic.
it's funny because that movie opens with him saving a girl from being raped, and then he proceeds to try and rape her
Yeah.
Right.
after he
Yeah.
saved her. Yeah.
With love.
With love, yeah.
I don't think so.
But well, he's way hotter than the previous assaulters.
Yeah, so she's all right with
Yeah,
it.
so she's cool with it.
All right, whatever.
Like she still runs away when she gets the chance, but she was like, well, if I got to be raped, might as well be by this guy.
Might as well.
But there's also like a lot of weird stuff in these movies. Like there was one of his companions is this warrior woman who basically has no top. She fights topless
Oh yeah.
to distract
Mhm.
her opponent, I guess. And we affectionately named her Boob Stalker.
That's right.
right.
That's where that came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. And there's all types of hijinks with these movies, but they were so bad, so terrible that they were enjoyable to watch because they were just
Yeah.
silly. They were silly Roger Corman movies.
Oh,
Silly,
God.
crazy 80s barbarian movies. Yeah, it's just I can't believe they're even remaking these. How could they? I mean,
Well, the cool thing about it is that so if you've seen Psycho Gorman, it's kind of like it takes like this weird
Intentional camp.
intentional camp. Like it's basically like it wants to be an 80s movie and it wants to have that camp of an 80s movie in it. And with Psycho Gorman, I actually really enjoyed it. I know you guys didn't
I
like
hated
it.
that movie, but yeah.
But I found it quirky and fun and weird. And I feel like this guy remaking Deathstalker, he's going to intentionally make
He's
it,
the right person for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to intentionally
Roger
make it
Corman
bad.
movies have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
So I mean, like when we watched the original Death Race 2000, that was
Yeah.
a Roger Corman movie.
Yeah.
You know? So there's a certain level of fun in these like bizarre, crazy, bad Corman films because he didn't care about the quality. He's like, can you make it for $10,000? Okay,
Yeah.
here's the money. You know?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. But if this thing succeeds, it could turn into like a franchise. And so like I'm really hoping that we get a good reboot of this because it'd be fun to have more Deathstalker movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm all right.
Like remember the guy who made the Headhunter?
50 grand.
I thought it was 30.
It was 50.
It was 50.
Yep.
Are you sure about that?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Let's not quibble, boys.
All right. Well, he made that super low budget, and it was probably one of the best dark fantasy
great movie.
films I've seen in a long time.
It's pretty good.
So if this guy can pull that off, I think that they're doing a lot of crowdfunding for it.
Wait, that's the guy that made the Headhunter is the guy making Beastmaster or Deathstalker?
no. I'm just
He
saying.
was just referencing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I was
I'm saying
confused.
for like low budget.
Vader blacked
stuff.
out
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
Hmm.
No, the guy who's doing it is the guy who did Psycho Gorman.
Oh, okay.
The guy who
All
did the Headhunter is the guy who did Thanksgiving.
Oh boy.
Gobble gobble, motherfuckers. There's a lot of boobs in that one.
Yeah, there was.
But Doc Target, have you ever watched Deathstalker?
I know nothing about this. Like, all my mind has done while you've been talking about this is come up with the word boobarian to describe it.
Yeah, that's
All right,
accurate.
that's all.
Well done,
That's
sir.
there we go. That's 20
Well-
years of education have built to that moment.
Well, it was funny because in the first Deathstalker, they have this big scene where there's like mud wrestling and orgy and a pig man and
Yeah.
it's
all
crazy.
this stuff. And it cost so much money to do that they just like reused it in other Deathstalker movies.
Yeah, they used the same scene in the second one.
Yeah. So like,
Might as well.
and Corman was known for that. It's like, well, we spent all this money on this one thing. I think
Yeah.
it wasn't Corman, but it was Troma, where they spent all this money on like a car crash, and they used it in every Troma movie.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, we have this footage, might as well.
Mhm.
But I'm looking forward to seeing this thing get rebooted. And Vader, are you going to be all over this?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dang right. That's my wheelhouse, man.
All right, guys. So we got a little bit of time left over here. We're going to talk about our final subject, and then we're going to get to all the super chats you guys have been very generously giving us. So just hang in there, you super chatters. We're going to have Dr.
They
Target.
have been very generous today.
They have been. Yep. All right. So the last topic of today, in preparation for the next Roadhouse, we're going to talk about the original Swayze Roadhouse. One of my all-time favorite guilty pleasure movies.
Yeah, I'm
For
very
sure.
upset about this remake. This is a remake that we didn't need.
Nope.
Nobody asked for it.
Nope.
I don't want it. I'm gonna watch it, but
You
I
are?
don't want it. Yeah,
I wasn't even planning on watching it.
I'm gonna watch it.
Well, we're going to have to watch it for the podcast.
I'm gonna hate watch it. But would you like to know what the original Roadhouse was about?
Yes. Why don't you give us a synopsis?
Okay, 1989, Roadhouse, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour 54 minutes. Had a budget of $17 million. Vader, what do you think this brought into
I
the
don't
box?
remember. 40 million.
Okay, Dr. Target.
55.
Okay, so it had a budget of 17 million in 1989. This brought in $30 million. Not too bad, not too shabby.
Doubled. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So this movie is about. Oh, I thought you were doing this at me. Sorry. So this movie is about titties on the bar and dick in gray sweatpants, which is what we said about it the last time we talked about it 4 years ago. So the famous cooler Dalton comes to town to clean up the Double Deuce, a real shithole. But Brad Wesley and his goons like their shithole bars like they like their women, degraded. So Dalton, who I thought would be bigger, calls in the sexiest man alive, Sam Elliott, who rides him hard and puts him away wet, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Together, they take on the town bullies who used to fuck guys like Dalton in prison. Discuss.
So this is, I think, my all-time favorite Swayze film. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where when I was growing up, if it was on TV, I'd stop and start watching it.
Yeah.
And it's actually based on an actual real
Like a true crime. Yeah.
crime thing where like this entire town got together and murdered like the town bully.
Don't be a bully.
And-
Moral of the story.
Yeah, and basically like everyone in the town just refused to give the police anything,
Mhm.
and so they got away with it. And that's kind of like that was the premise from which this movie kind of like sprung from. But it's also like I love the character of Dalton.
Mhm.
I find his philosophy very interesting. Like pain don't hurt.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
He has like a PhD in philosophy and also like a trillionth degree black belt in kicking ass.
And it's little things like how he like hides his real car and then he just buys a shitty car because he knows people are going to vandalize his car.
Yeah.
And he's got this real Zen philosophy, and then like as things start spiraling out of control, and he's like fighting like the main goon and like all this stuff, which him and that actor who played opposite him like were actually like fighting each
Yeah,
other.
they like connected a little bit.
Yeah. He got injured on the set of this, and he was
Both of them
injured.
did, yeah.
He was injured when he went into Next of Kin because of this movie, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and this was also his follow-up to Dirty Dancing, and so he was constantly being stalked by like groups of women
Mhm.
where like they'd drive onto set and they'd be like, Patrick Swayze, please fuck me, like stuff like that. They're literally like cars of pussy and bio just everywhere.
How dare you?
Jesus.
And then like this movie ends with like one of the greatest lines in cinema where a polar bear fell on me. But Matt Vader,
Yeah.
it's been a while since you've watched this movie. Tell me,
Yeah.
what do you think of the original Swayze Roadhouse?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think it's probably my number 2 Patrick Swayze movie. I'm a Point Break guy personally. That's I like when you get Keanu and the Sways in the movie. It's gold.
It's gold.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I don't think I know anybody who doesn't like this movie, at least on a little secret level. This is one of those movies that's like, if it's on, you stop and you kind of watch it.
Yeah.
It's every housewife's secret little thing that they like to watch. It's just it's like Sam Elliott. It's like, oh God,
Oh, he's
woo.
so hot.
And it's got hot women, it's got fun music, it's got the sways, it's got fighting. It's like
It's got the one guy who says, if you pay me like $10, you can kiss my wife's boobs.
Right.
No, you can feel my wife's boobs.
It's you can kiss him, and he starts feeling them, and then he goes,
No, that's actually,
I don't have any money, and then the guy gets mad.
Yeah. It's got Bigfoot in it, the truck.
Yeah.
It's everything you want in a weird, I don't even know,
80s movie
that everybody loves, that
a special time.
You kind of just gotta scratch your head and wonder why everybody loves this movie. I mean, everybody wants to live in a secret apartment in the barn.
I know.
I want that apartment. I would totally live in this apartment.
I want to fuck on that roof.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. It's just it's classic. I really don't know anybody who hates this movie.
What about you, Jude?
Oh, I love this movie. Every time we have like a top 10 list of something, this is on my list.
Yep.
This is like the best date night movie, the best shut your brain off movie, the best if you like start dating someone and you show them this movie and they don't like it, that's a fucking red flag. Like, this movie's great. We joked earlier and I said, oh, perfect movie. This is such a great movie, and it stands the test of time, and it's Swayze in his prime and Sam Elliott. Holy hell. This started my lusting of Sam Elliott. He has never been hotter than he has been in this movie. And that guy stinks and you don't care.
Ride him hard, put him away.
He smells like he hasn't showered in days, but it's all musk and like masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Dr. Target, have you seen this movie before?
So I'd never seen it. And so I appreciate you bringing me into this. Like, for all the crap you made me watch, you also introduced me to Roadhouse. So thank you.
So you have seen it now?
I've seen it now.
Okay.
Oh, good.
And I made a list of all the quotes I loved, and you guys have used most of them, but you missed one, which is,
no.
I'm just here to have a good time. It's like, you're too stupid to have a good time. Like, that was my favorite. I was watching it, and of course, I'm sort of analyzing, talking about world building. I was like the budget for security and medical bills and lawsuits at this bar must be unreal.
Yeah.
Like, that's just would have been insane. And the other thing that surprised me, this is America. It takes a long time before people use guns to solve their problems. Like, it's kicking for quite a bit when I thought that'd be like, the only reference I'd seen to this before I watched it was the Family Guy episode where Peter just does roundhouse kicks over and over again, shouting Roadhouse.
Yeah.
So as I was watching it in my head,
that was your only reference.
I was constantly waiting for roundhouse kicks, and I even burst out and shouted Roadhouse after one of the best kicks.
It's why this movie it's a cult film now, right? It's loved by people.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so upset. I'm really annoyed.
Yeah.
That they did a remake of this. It's like, why? Why would you?
Nothing to be gained.
There's nothing to be gained. It's nobody wanted it. Nobody asked for it. It's just some asshole money guy out there wanted to with money, probably wanted to let's give a Conor McGregor a movie to star in. So what kind of movie put that dipshit in? All he can do is fight. Well, they fight a lot in Roadhouse. Okay, well, let's make that movie. It's like,
what a money grab.
It's like, it's silly. It's just.
Roadhouse was a lightning in a bottle type scenario.
Yeah.
There's no way
they had no idea that when they made Roadhouse, that it was going to be
talked about all these years.
Loved 30 years later or whatever it is now. It's just, Patrick Swayze was just
Sways, man.
The Sways, yeah. It was I still get bummed when I think about I bet he would have made some awesome movies had he been able to stick around. You know what the possibilities with him would have been great.
Classically trained ballet dancer and badass. Fuck off.
I still
got a sequel to Tu Wong Fu.
I still think about his SNL episode. It's a classic.
Oh yeah.
It's like the
Chippendale dancer.
the Chippendales and stuff. Yeah, so good. But yeah, I don't need this new Roadhouse.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with the old one. It's like
Same.
I feel the same way about this as I did when they made Point Break, the new Point Break.
Oh, that doesn't exist.
I still haven't seen it.
That does not exist.
I just won't watch that movie. There's no reason for me to watch that movie.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. So I really don't. If you make me watch this movie for the show, I'm gonna be a little pissed off.
Well, we are watching it.
Oh man,
It's the whole
I
point.
might have to like pretend.
I don't want to watch it either.
Can we just not watch it? Not tell him?
Matt, tell us what it was about. Give me the synopsis.
You can watch the original again while he watches the.
Yeah.
I don't remember
I
what
can't
movie
get away
it was.
with that shit. I live with
Yeah.
him.
I got away with it once. There was a movie we watched on the podcast that I did not want to watch, and I just said, "Fuck you, I'm gonna watch it." and I faked my way through it, and I told him at the end I didn't watch this, movie. But I forget which
It's
one it was.
very rare that we do that shit and just like refuse to watch stuff. Gotta save those cards for when
But
they count.
I'm watching this in protest.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
am filing a
Do
complaint
you want to
with
come
the
over
podcast.
and watch it? We'll get
people.
pizza.
I might.
Okay.
That might not be a
We'll
bad
get a
idea.
big thing of wine for your cup.
Yeah. Okay.
Blood wine.
Blood
Yeah.
wine.
So Doc, overall, what did you think of the original Patrick Swayze?
I'm so
Roadhouse?
pleased that this was your first
Yeah,
watch.
seriously, that was one of those fun little. It was one of those things that was on the list, and people said it was good, and it was just great. It was just great to lose yourself in
Yeah.
another world, right? Just it's of its time and of its place, but it's still fun to enjoy today.
Doesn't it
This
make you
is-
feel like you could be a badass too?
No, I've never felt that.
It's a
It's
it's absurd fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just it's like it's one of those movies that you can mention the name and people have heard of it, and there's joy in it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to think, you didn't have to process. You could just let yourself enjoy what's on the screen.
Should show it we should have Patrick Swayze Film Festival.
Pat Fest.
Pat Fest.
Swayze
Fest. Yeah.
exactly. All right, guys. So we got some super chats we need to get to real quick. We got $9.99 from Alex Belfour. It was once said that Roger Corman could cast a movie in a phone booth, film it in the phone booth, and pay for the movie with the change he found in the coin return.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Facts.
You know, Roger Corman has an autobiography out there called "How I Made like 100 movies in Hollywood and never lost a penny," something like
Wow.
that. And I highly recommend, if you haven't read it, check it out. I love that book. It's very inspiring. We got another one from Alex Belfour for $1.99. Pain don't hurt.
Yep.
Yes.
It's Swayze science.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Alex is someone I know,
Oh, nice.
and he gave me the Roadhouse lowdown.
Oh,
before
no,
I was like, I'm going to go on this
yeah.
podcast. I don't know what I have time to do, and I get like 50 text messages telling me how great
Hey,
Roadhouse.
fearless leader.
Hello, everybody.
Well, better late than never.
Hold on a second.
All right, we got super chat for $10 from William Forbus. Gotta go, S&P. My phone is about to die, and I won't be close to a charger for another hour. Swayze-a-thon 2024, please, and thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
God, I love Swayze's Roadhouse. It's a perfect 80s action good movie.
100%.
Relax. We haven't even opened
And
it yet.
then we have
Oh,
Alex.
we haven't opened it yet.
We have guys. Let me just
Settle
finish
down.
All right.
the super chats for the love of God. Host comes in, thinks he's running.
I
things.
know. He's like, let me take over.
Yeah.
I just try to grab some booze.
Should have locked
So
the
we
door.
got Alex Belfour for $1.99. Roadhouse has Terry Funk. Yes, it's got quite a few wrestlers.
Yeah.
So that is it for our super chats. I know that since Fearless Leader has just arrived,
It kind of
uh,
stinks.
yeah, he stinks of work.
I smell like work.
Smells.
Masculinity and musk.
Yeah, that's what she just rolled up on my motorcycle.
Exactly. Alex, was there anything you wanted to say to the fans before we head out?
Thank you guys for your patience. For the last couple of weeks, we've been dealing with some tech issues and some content strategy issues. We're locking ourselves in. We're doing movies. That's what we like to do. That's what we love to do.
We've already talked about
I know we did. He asked if I had a thing to chime in. I
Yeah,
just wanted
just
to
let
say.
him talk.
I can't
What is
wait.
it?
I can't wait to get back in the room. It's gonna be so much fun. Just talking mad shit about your favorite movie.
this. You make me want to drink.
Vader just found
I
out we
haven't-
have to watch the new Roadhouse.
I haven't had a single drop of booze today, and you get here and I immediately want to drink.
Cool, man.
God.
Good deal. Helldivers Unite. You know what I mean? Dr. Target, you are jumping into hell.
I'm
with
gonna
me.
play.
You're gonna jump into hell with me
Yes.
recently.
Yep.
Soon. Hopefully.
Are we doing a member stream today or no?
We are not doing a member stream
Okay.
because things were so chaotic.
Yeah.
this week and last week and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
we will be back to our regularly scheduled member stuff next week. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today.
Can I take 2 minutes?
Yeah, go ahead.
2 minutes. I want to say something nice about you guys.
Oh,
So I've loved, sort of coming up over the last 3 years, watching your shows, enjoying it. And you've had some amazing guests. It must be spectacular to get time with, especially like Mola and people like that you've had together. But that's great that you've got other people, but there's a reason people watch you too.
Aw.
Okay. And for each of you, here's my thoughts. So with Vader is an elegant weapon from a more civilized age.
Oh my
Yeah.
Like, Vader comes from a time when all Star Wars was good, when all Star
Right.
Trek was good, when all Indiana Jones was good. So he's this great anchor in terms of, not based on your size, but just based upon your take. Of,
I'm a big boy. It's
of a-
okay.
of a-
He's got his own mass.
of
I have my own gravitational field.
I want to show everyone we've got a 3-body problem.
Yeah,
on this
yeah.
side of-
Yeah.
so he's great for sort of bringing it back to that. Hey, remember that things, that's the standard you compare these things to, not to the subjective modern thing. But that's why I enjoy Vader's take. He's always got this great take based upon this past experience.
Aw.
And with Jude reads and holds you to a better account. All of us here are infested with nostalgia
Uh-huh.
when it comes to these franchises. Jude is not afraid to call a spade a spade. She has my
you.
loyalty, again, for Foundation, but for other things. My wife wants to talk to you about Buffy.
Oh my God, I
She's
would
like,
love to
"How
talk
is
to
your
her.
Buffy knowledge good?"
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Really
my
good?
God.
yeah.
All right, hit.
I once told Nicholas Brendan to fuck off because he didn't know enough about trivia, about Buffy trivia, to
So he-
join my
So
trivia.
here's my
team.
test. Sing along with me when you know the words.
Oh, okay.
Every single night, the stranger arrangement, I go out and fight the fight.
Fuck, I don't know the next
Ah,
line.
I know I could do
I don't know the
that.
next
I
line.
know.
And I know it's but it's
Nothing here is real, nothing here is
shut
right.
up. I touch the fire and it
That's at the end.
freezes me.
Yeah. I look into it and it's black, yeah. And then with Kadish, the great thing, first of all, in my phone, I typed your names in before I actually knew all your names. So I thought K was like his middle initial.
Oh.
So he's Matthew K. Dish on my phone with a dot in the middle.
I've heard it both
Dish.
ways.
That was good. That was good. But
Kaddish.
because he's on the stream and he seems to know everything.
He's very smart.
And as a viewer, you're like, well, maybe he just knows everything because he just researches it beforehand. But I'm here to tell the audience that he does it in real time.
It's all the
Like you can go to him and say, "Hey, I was watching this movie from like 1983, and it had a sandwich in it, and it looks kind of like it looks like it's made of silicone and not a real sandwich." It's like, well, that's because in like 1527, when John Smith was filming The Godfather Part 13, the lead actor tripped on a real sandwich, and now, according to union law, all sandwiches are made of silicone. And you'll be like, how did he know that? Like this man has the knowledge in real time. And then Alex, oh, hang on, let's go back to my.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
See the glasses.
Say,
are gonna
oh
be
my
a thing.
God,
Yeah.
which one's which? I can't tell.
Oh, I'm doing the stay salty thing at the end today. By the way. That's
It's
not
all
a
yours, man. Take it.
negotiation. So with Alex, the first time I met, and you were hungover and wearing a bucket on your head, and
That's right. You were.
I was. Yeah.
and the funny thing is, like, you'll listen to the podcast, and Alex will be like, "Oh my God, like this movie sucks. Like modern movies suck." It seems sometimes like, he's not, he's just like, oh, just getting through. He's just surviving. But then you bring something to him, like he will be happy at the drop. He'll be like, hey, like, oh, I was thinking about doing this. Yeah, let's go do that. That's great. We want to get a beer. Let's get a beer. Let's go for dinner. I want to do that. That's great. Have you heard about this? Have you talked about this? He managed to sort of balance this optimism and pessimism in this great way.
True.
And that's why I think that, it's great that you have these guests and it's great that you're growing, but the reason people watch you is for these qualities. You have something to bring to the table. People pay to listen to you, and that is a spectacular thing.
Thank you, sir.
Most of them don't pay.
No,
free show.
people want
It's a free
to-
show.
They
You
spend their
don't
time.
have to. We
They
appreciate
choose
when
to
you
do
do.
it.
Yeah.
but
They
yeah.
could be doing other things. They choose to spend time with you.
We would be hanging around this table talking shit about movies.
Yeah.
Regardless.
We'd still be in the living room.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we got started. It's like we were talking shit about movies at the coffee shop,
Yeah.
and we're like, we should just record this.
Yeah.
So
Why
that's
not?
yeah. So there we go.
Thank you, sir.
No, my
It's always
pleasure.
a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me in.
All right. Hard to follow that eloquence up. but,
Well, he's got a line to
Yeah.
say.
no,
Take it away, sir.
no. Who's
we're
running
not-
the show?
Oh, sorry,
Who's running the
sorry.
show? All right. I want to thank everyone who gave us super chats today, because it's because of you guys that we continue to do this show. Your support is so very much appreciated. We got Backyard TARDIS giving us $10. We got William Forbus giving us a lot of super chats. Thank you so much. Wendy Hunter. We got the Astro Nerd Boy. We also have Dennis Wright and
Nick.
Late Night with Cap, JT Gunn, and Alex Belfour.
And Alex, my friend, is kind of cadishy, but he's got knowledge.
It's all
Did,
right.
did you just verb my name?
I did. To Kadish.
Takadish.
Verbed.
Takadish. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And also for those of you who have been members and who have joined the membership, thank you all so much. Be sure to check out the members only playlist on our channel to get all your exclusive content. I promise that we're going to start putting out more members exclusive stuff, including members live streams. These past 2 weeks were just very, very difficult for a number of reasons that I won't go into. So I appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're going to start putting more Patreon stuff out there. We're going to start putting more member stuff out there as well to justify your investment in us. And if you guys got gifted memberships, please be sure to actually, carry those over, like actually subscribe if you like what you see. And we now have our Masters of the Universe commentary available on Patreon. If you guys want to check that out, it's only $10, but it's a lot of fun. These guys hated it, which means that it's going to be a good commentary. And you can find the link to that in the description, or if you go to saltynerdclub.com, that takes you right to our Patreon page. Just go to the store tab and it's available there. And if you are a superstar member of our Patreon, which is the highest tier membership, you get that included in your membership. So if you haven't watched that yet, be sure to check it out. And we're going to be back here next week talking about stuff in our new format. We're probably going to be talking about the new Roadhouse remake and things of that nature.
It's okay, buddy.
Oh, so fun.
Okay.
But you can always count on the salty nerds to be super salty. So when it comes to saying goodbye until next week, I'm going to throw it over to our special guest, Dr. Target. Please take it away.
Where's the camera? I go. Thanks for joining us today. It's been great having you here. We appreciate it. Stay salty, my friends.
Yay.
Hey, folks, thanks so much for watching this live stream. If you want to watch our previous live stream, make sure to click right here. Or if you would like to check out one of our favorite highlights, click right here.